The Radiance of Pokémon wisdom. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 401 Steel City. After parting with Zyles, he and his group, Zahu and his group passed through a jungle and finally arrived at the Steel City, where the first gym of Sinnoh was located. Finally, we are here. Next, we'll go to the Steel Gym and get the gym badge from the gym trainer Hyota, and then confirm what Dago wants to take. We'll play here for a few more days. Zahu said. Play? There's nothing fun here. And every time you go shopping, you always ask me and me are off to get things. Kajiro complained. Monini Sonasi Monini, Giranweng, and Furinling, who was shaking the bell, responded to Kajiro's words angrily. I pay for your meals, Zahu said with a smile. Monini, Giranweng, and Furinling's faces changed at the same time, and then Giranweng immediately stood beside Zahu, pointing his finger at Kajiro, and kept talking, as if accusing him. Monini also decisively jumped off Kajiro's shoulder and jumped on Giranweng's head, imitating Giranweng's appearance and accusing Kajiro. Kajiro's face darkened and he cursed in his heart, traitor, all traitors. Especially when he saw that his beloved Monini also accused him. Kajiro was even more heartbroken, and even Monini betrayed him. Fortunately, Fenglingling was still floating beside him. Kajiro comforted himself in his heart, and his first love was still good to him. Just as he was relaxing, Fenglingling with a gentle face suddenly showed a grimace and burst into a noise, which scared Kajiro to death. Then Fenglingling floated to Zahu, and made a crisp healing bell sound. Why, Fenglingling, you betrayed me too, Kajiro said with heartache. Because I'm more handsome than you. Zahu looked proud, and walked forward with a bunch of Pokémon. Kajiro cursed in his heart, shameless, and followed him aggrievedly, just like a bullied wife. Meow Meow was shaking his head in the back, looking at Kajiro with a look of disappointment. What a fool. When the boss asked us to carry things, why didn't we just sneak away? Could it be that the boss wouldn't let us go to the toilet? He just took the initiative to say it. So naive. A group of people walked to the Steel Gym, but were told by the gym members that the gym trainer Hyota was not in the gym, but in the mine in the south, digging stones. He is really worthy of being the man who made a deal with Dago, with the same interests and hobbies. Zahu sighed. Otherwise, how did a former Hone champion and a current Sinnoh gym trainer know each other? Kona laughed. Besides, this is Steel City. A Steel City resident who has never dug coal and iron, or is not qualified to say that he is a suitable Steel City resident. Are there a lot of ores here? Kajiro asked curiously. Of course, otherwise why do you think it's called Steel City? In ancient times, Steel City was just a remote town, but when the industry was developing, people found that the ore reserves buried here were almost the first in the world, so it developed rapidly and became the Steel City today. However, recently the citizens intend to apply for a name change to Black Gold City, because the ore here is all black gold. Zahu said. Then boss, can we dig? Kajiro said. No, the ore veins here have been contracted out for a long time. If we want to grab resources, we have to spend money, a lot of money, and then hire professionals. Are you free? Zahu said. That's right, forget it. Kajiro said disappointedly. Is it that important? You are the eldest son of the Satsuki family, a top rich second generation, and our amusement park is also making a lot of money every day. Is it necessary for you, the second largest shareholder after me? Zahu said with a smile. Yes, my father finally agreed to let me cancel my engagement with Lumigia. Kajiro said. Your dad actually gave in? That's unscientific. What's the condition? Zahu said in shock. Let me make more money than the family makes. Kajiro said. Then you should get married. Zahu said that it might be impossible to complete this task in the next life. Boss, everything depends on human effort. As long as we dare to fight, we can do it. There is nothing that cannot be done, only the fear of doing it. Kajiro said passionately. Okay, then after this is over, we will enter other fields, or I will win the regional championship and you will win the grand celebration championship, and then we will build the Sinnoh regional amusement park together. Zahu said. Thank you, boss. Kajiro said. Don't thank me too early. With your current strength, you still have a long way to go to become the Grand Celebration champion. Pidgeot has been with you for a long time, but it hasn't evolved into Pidgeot yet. I gave you the Mega Evolution Stone of Pidgeot half a year ago, but you haven't used it yet. Zahu said. Then Pidgeot is also doing well now. Kajiro defended aggrievedly. Yes, you should join the Non-Evolution Alliance. Zahu shook his head helplessly and then walked towards the mine. After searching for a while, Zahu finally saw a young man wearing a helmet. At this moment, he was looking at a huge fossil with a gentle face and said, "Welcome to our era." Boss, what is he doing? Chatting with fossils? Meow. Meow meow asked curiously. In his opinion, it must be through the contact with fossils to feel the ancient atmosphere, but we are not fossil lovers, so we can't feel this feeling. Zahu said. Just like Kajiro foolishly collecting completely useless bottle caps every day. Meow meow suddenly realized. What? My bottle caps are not useless. They are supreme art treasures. Kajiro retorted angrily. In short, no one else will buy them except you, Kajiro. Meow meow said. That's because they don't know how to appreciate. Kajiro hit back, and the man and the cat glared at each other tit for tat. Zahu was too weak to complain about the two guys. After Hayata finished, he stepped forward and said, "Hello, Mr. Hayata, I'm Zahu." "Yes, Mr. Zahu. Mr. Daigo has already told me that he would entrust you to come. I didn't expect you to come so soon," Hayata said when he saw Zahu's enthusiastic face. "I took Daigo's favor and did his job, but I will have a gym match with you later." Zahu smiled. "It's my honor to compete with the former Hone champion," Hayata said. "Let's learn from each other and promote each other," Zahu said politely. Because of Zahu's arrival, Hayata temporarily put down the fossils and took Zahu and others to the research institute. We have a close cooperation with Duan Manufacturing Co. Limited. The fossil resurrection technology here is also very comprehensive. In recent years, many Pokémon have been resurrected one after another, Hayata introduced as he walked. Zahu nodded in agreement from time to time, and he recognized the research environment here. In order to make the resurrected fossil Pokémon adapt to modern life, these researchers tried their best to simulate the ancient environment. Even many plants have become extinct. Zahu suspected that these plants were created using fossil resurrection technology. The investment in it is completely unaffordable for ordinary companies. This is the stone that Mr. Daigo wants us to trade. After walking all the way, Hayata took Zahu into a confidential room and pointed to a stone. Zahu looked at it, but he couldn't see any clues for a while, but he felt that it revealed a primitive power. But since it was given to Daigo, he didn't care and prepared for the next battle with Hayata. Chapter 402, Steel Gym Battle. Now begins the gym match between challenger Zahu and trainer Hayata of the Steel Gym. Both sides can use 3 Pokémon and there is no time limit. When all the Pokémon of one side cannot fight, the match ends. During the battle, only the challenger can change the Pokémon in his hand. The battle order is that the challenger attacks first after the second move. The referee briefly introduced the rules. Zahu nodded casually. 3 against 3. Basic rules, nothing fancy. Even though I know that Mr. Zahu is very powerful and fully qualified to challenge the Sinnoh League, I will still do my best, Hayata said, throwing a Pokeball and saying, "Gialith, come out." "Gialith again," Zahu said with a smile. At the Nibe Gym and the Kanto Gym, Zyadagang's first Pokémon was Gialith. At the Hone Connors Gym, the gym trainer Dujuan's first Pokémon was also Gialith. Now in Sinnoh, the first Pokémon he faces is still Gialith. How much do these rock-type gym trainers prefer Gialith? Or how popular is Geodude in these 3 regions? You should know that these 3 gyms are the first gyms that travelers from the 3 regions usually challenge, so the opponents that travel trainers from the 3 regions have to face in their travel life are the same. No wonder the relationship between the 3 regions is closer than that between Unova and Kalos. There is a reason for that. There are many common topics. Zahu had a glimmer of enlightenment in his mind and threw the Pokeball on his waist and said, "Metal, make your first appearance in the gym tournament." a flash of red light appeared, and Metal appeared on the field, waving his hands, with a determined look in his eyes. After passing through the psychedelic forest and constantly beating a group of unconscious Pokémon, Metal is now full of confidence. Metal, you are indeed the champion of the Hone region. Hayata nodded slightly, not caring too much, and was very confident in his own strength. Metal, alloy claws. Zahu said. A burst of white light appeared in front of Metal's arms, and he hit Geodude fiercely. Geo, roll. Hayata said. Geodude immediately clasped his hands tightly, and his whole body turned into a ball and rolled rapidly, sliding under the metal monster, and coming behind it. What a fast speed. Zahu's eyes changed slightly. The speed of this Geodude's rolling is really first class, faster than the ball Pokémon such as Naughty Egg. It is really good. Geodude, roll. Hayata continued to order. Geodude continued to roll, and hit the metal monster. Take the initiative to meet it, alloy claws. Zahu said that the power of rolling will increase with the number of rolls, and the attack must be interrupted in advance. The metal monster's body floated, and 3 metal claws flashed, hitting Geodude hard. With a bang, the metal monster floated up, and Geodude fell to the ground, smashing a hole. Geodude, wake up. Geodude's body flashed white light, and then a large piece of strange light ball appeared on its body, and then it suddenly hit the metal monster. Telekinesis. Zahu said. The light ball in the sky was immediately controlled by telekinesis, and floated in the air. Fight back. Zahu said. The telekinesis in metal monster surged, reflecting all the light balls back and hitting Geodude, causing a burst of smoke. Go in, metal claw, Zahu said. Metal monster moved, floating directly into the smoke, and suddenly slapped Geodude's head with a claw. Geodude's head burst, revealing a circle of eyes, and fell to the ground. Geodude, you lose your ability to fight. Metal monster wins. The referee said, after watching the situation. Come back, Geodude. Hayata took back Geodude, then threw out another Pokeball and said, Onix, you go on stage. Onix? Why is it another rock type Pokémon? Shouldn't the steel gym be a steel type Pokémon? Kajiro, who was watching, said in surprise. That was before. Hayata's father, Dangwa, was an expert in steel type, but now he has gone to Water City and become a gym trainer in Water City. Hayata is a rock type gym trainer, and all his Pokémon are rock type. Kona laughed. Is that so? Kajiro said, not quite understanding. Metal monster, use the alloy claws again. Zahu said. The figure of the metal monster floated, and its claws shone and glowed. It took the lead in attacking the huge Onix. Onix, face it head on, and charge at the cost of your life. Piaote said. Onix's head glowed, and it violently crashed into the metal monster like a big truck. With a loud bang, Onix's brute force surged, knocking the metal monster away, and falling to the ground. Onix, invisible rock. Piaote said. Onix roared, and a spot of light appeared in front of its huge head, and then turned into rock, and attacked the ground near the metal monster. Metal monster, telekinesis. Zahu said, it's better not to let me succeed with a field move like invisible rock 1 or 2. The metal monster's telekinesis surged, and the invisible power suddenly burst out from its body, completely destroying the invisible rock that had not yet been fully formed. Very good. Next, metal claw. Zahu shouted. The metal monster's claws shone and glowed, and it rushed towards Onix at a high speed. Onix, noise. Piaote said. Onix turned its head towards metal monster and suddenly roared, emitting a very piercing and sharp sound. The sound waves rolled and bombarded metal monster's body. Metal monster's movements were blocked and stopped. Then it was blown away from the front, smashed into a rock, and fell to the ground weakly. Metal monster has lost its ability to fight. The referee also quickly pronounced the verdict. Thank you for your hard work, metal monster. Zahu took back metal monster and looked at Hayata. Using noise as a defense or even a trick for attack is a really powerful tactic. It's just that I trained more about the use of noise in normal times. Hayata said. Is that so? Then, Parasaurolophus, come on stage. Zahu threw the Pokeball. Parasaurus stood on the field, showing a combative mood. Parasaurus, Sonic Punch. Zahu said. Parasaurus moved suddenly, moving like a rabbit, quickly approaching Onix. His right fist flashed white light, and he swiftly hit Onix's head. With one punch, Onyx's head was knocked off. "Onyx, hit it," said Hayata. Although Onyx was hit on the head and felt a little dizzy, it still swung its tail and hit Parasaurolophus immediately. "Jump, dodge, then absorb the punch," said Zahu. Parasaurolophus jumped easily with its powerful legs and flexibly dodged Onyx's tail attack. Then, a bright green light appeared in its right fist and hit Onyx's head fiercely. A green force surged in, plundering Onyx's physical strength to Parasaurolophus. Onyx felt weaker than ever before and fell to the ground with a snap, revealing a pair of big circular eyes. "Onyx, lose the ability to fight," said the referee. Hayata's face changed slightly. Such a fast speed and such a fierce attack. Onyx was knocked down with a few punches. "Craniosaurus, come out." Hayata took back Onyx and released a short-armed bipedal dinosaur Pokémon. Craniosaurus? An ancient Pokémon that lived at least 100 million years ago. It was only discovered in the past 2 years. "I didn't expect that you, Mr. Hayata, would use it as your trump card," Zahu said. "This guy's my closest friend. Although he is not a match for those powerful Pokémon of yours, Mr. Zahu, it is not something that this Parasaurolophus can easily defeat." Hayata said. "Is that so? Then try it." Parasaurolophus, use the Sonic Punch, Zahu said. Craniosaurus, use the Iron Head skill, Hayata said. Craniosaurus leaned forward, showing an attacking posture, and then ran at high speed, hitting Parasaurolophus' fist with its head. The Iron Head and the Iron Fist collided head-on, but Parasaurolophus showed a slight pain expression. Craniosaurus lowered his head and showed a hideous expression on his face. "Mind Hammer!" Hayata shouted. Craniosaurus' head suddenly flipped up, and the attack with superpower attributes hit Parasaurolophus hard, knocking Parasaurolophus away. Parasaurolophus' legs slid on the ground for a while before stopping, with a slight pain expression on his face. The Mind Hammer is a super move that restrains the fighting attributes of Parasaurolophus. Craniosaurus is the most powerful among the fossil Pokémon, especially its head, which is the hardest and indestructible. Biote said confidently. "Really? That's just right for my Parasaurolophus to practice. The harder the shield, the more it needs to be destroyed." Zahu's mouth corners slightly raised. This Craniosaurus has good strength, but it is too simple to think that it can defeat Parasaurolophus. Chapter 403 Coal Badge. Parasite, use the Sonic Punch again, Zahu said. As the challenger, he always had the right to attack first. Parasite moved quickly again, shortening the distance between him and Craniosaurus, and punched hard. Craniosaurus, Iron Head skill. Biotadeo said that Craniosaurus used both legs to run quickly, and its head suddenly hit Parasite, and there was another bang. Parasite, use the Sonic Punch again, and speed up your punches, Zahu said. Parasite's eyes became sharp, and his fists were punched quickly at lightning speed. In a flash, 2 punches were thrown in succession, hitting Craniosaurus' head. Craniosaurus bent its right leg and retreated, then used the Sonic Punch to speed up the attack frequency, Zahu said. In terms of single power, Parasite's Iron Fist is indeed not as strong as Craniosaurus' head, but if one punch doesn't work, then another one will do. Parasite is not good at long distance running, but the speed of its punches is so fast that even among fighting Pokémon, few are faster than it. Cranion, use Key, Piaote said. A flash of white light flashed across Craniara's body, and its momentum became stronger. Use Key to increase attack power, but to what extent can it be increased? Parasaurolophus, Sonic Punch, come again, Zahu said. Parasaurolophus' speed suddenly increased, and it quickly shortened the distance between it and Craniara, and punched it. Cranion, Mind Hammer. Piaote said Craniara's head was shining with the blue part, and it hit Parasaurolophus as fiercely as before, but compared with the previous evenly matched, Craniara won this time, and knocked Parasaurolophus over without giving Parasaurolophus a chance to throw a second punch. Parasaurolophus fell on a stone wall on the side, and after standing up, he showed a trace of fatigue, proving that Craniara's hit was quite powerful. Parasaurolophus, optical synthesis, Zahu said. The mushroom hat on Parasaurolophus' head emitted a little light, absorbing the sunlight in the sky and quickly recovering its strength. Optical synthesis takes time. Craniosaurus uses the double-edged head hammer. Peyote said. The light on Craniosaurus's head became brighter, and then he ran over violently. The whole ground trembled, and launched the strongest attack on the recovering Parasaurolophus. Without the characteristics of the stone head, you still have to use this trick. That can hurt 1000 enemies and 300 descendants, but it's not enough. Zahu's eyes turned fierce and said, Parasaurolophus, use the explosive fist. Explosive fist, not good. Peyote's face suddenly changed, but it was too late at this moment. Facing the rapidly attacking Craniosaurus, Parasaurolophus was not in a hurry. A ball of dazzling white light appeared on his right fist, and he attacked the Craniosaurus's head enthusiastically. Boom. A deafening sound came, and a powerful energy wave erupted between the two Pokémon, stirring up a rolling sandstorm. When the sandstorm cleared, the two Pokémon were still standing. Parasaurolophus' right arm was slightly numb, and it was obviously injured. The head of the skull dragon was dizzy, and the eyes were bloodshot, as if it had lost consciousness and was staggering. As expected, it's in chaos. Zahu smiled as expected. The explosive punch, using the full power of the Pokémon to attack the opponent's Pokémon, will definitely cause confusion to the opponent's Pokémon. However, because the action of gathering the full power of the whole body is slightly obvious and stiff, the hit rate is not high. However, if the skull dragon hits it, there is no way. The last blow, absorption punch. Zahu said. Parasaurolophus moved quickly, and hit the abdomen of the skull dragon with his left fist. The green light flashed, and quickly absorbed the physical strength of the skull dragon. Then he punched the skull dragon away, and a green light emerged, and the physical strength on his body recovered rapidly. That's it. A good practice match. Zahu smiled and waited for the referee to announce it, then took back the Parasaurolophus. But at this moment, a dazzling white light suddenly appeared on the body of the skull-capped dragon, which was lying in a small pit on the ground. Evolved. Zahu was slightly stunned. This light must have evolved. But just when it was about to win, the opponent's Pokémon evolved. What's the big deal? Skull-capped dragon evolved very quickly. When Zahu sighed, Skull-capped dragon had already completed its evolution. Its body became larger, and white spikes grew on the sides of its head and its feet. Its red eyes made it look even more difficult to mess with. It's Warhammer Dragon. Hyota also looked at the evolved Warhammer Dragon with joy. He had been training Skull-capped dragon, and was looking forward to this day. Now it has finally evolved completely. Mr. Zahu, the battle starts now. Hyota looked at Zahu and said, yes, but it's still me and Parasaurolophus who will win. Zahu said. As expected, you are so confident. Then Warhammer Dragon, use Jet Flame. Hyota said. The Warhammer opened its mouth wide, and a large piece of flame spewed out of its mouth, covering the Parasaurolophus. Parasaurolophus, Sonic Punch. Zahu said. Parasaurolophus sped up, dodged the jet of flames at a high speed, and approached the Warhammer. Sonic Punch, approaching the opponent at an incredible speed, preemptively, is actually a flash of lightning with a change of direction, but it changes from hitting with the body to hitting with fists. Still want to attack head on. Warhammer, let Parasaurolophus know the power of evolution. Mental Mind Hammer. Hyota shouted. Wrong. Zahu smiled slightly. Hyota's face changed slightly, and he saw Parasaurolophus punched quickly, but missed the mental mind hammer of Warhammer, and the two Pokémon separated from each other. Parasaurolophus, Irontail. Zahu said. When the two Pokémon were about to separate, Parasaurolophus stepped on the ground, and a silver-white metallic luster emerged from its slender tail, which whipped the right leg of Warhammer fiercely. Warhammer's body swayed and almost fell. Warhammer Dragon. Peyote's face changed slightly. Evolution can bring about a transformation of the whole body. Warhammer Dragon was injected with new power and its strength was improved in all aspects, but it did not mean that the damage it had suffered before did not exist. If it was hit a few more times, it would fail. Warhammer Dragon, speed up and use the Mind Hammer. Peyote said. Warhammer Dragon ran with its strong legs and rushed towards Parasaurolophus at the fastest speed so far. Left foot as the axis, turn right along with the momentum. Zahu said calmly, not affected at all. Parasaurolophus was agile and controlled its strength subtly. It turned right just right and avoided Warhammer Dragon's attack. Then, use the Iron Tail to attack Warhammer Dragon's right leg. Zahu said. Parasaurolophus's eyes became fierce, and its tail shone brightly, and it whipped Warhammer Dragon's right leg fiercely. The strong pain came, and Warhammer Dragon's right leg bent and half of its body bent down. Very good sonic punch, solved, Zahu said. Parasaurus' right fist shone with white light, and it hit the head of Warhammer Dragon with a sharp blow. Warhammer Dragon was hit hard, and fell heavily to the ground with a bang, revealing a pair of big circular eyes. Warhammer Dragon has lost its ability to fight, so the winner is Zahu from Pallet Town, the referee said, after watching Warhammer Dragon's situation. Thank you for your hard work, Warhammer Dragon. Hayata took back Warhammer Dragon, and walked towards Zahu, handing Zahu the coal badge of the Steel Gym, saying, I lost. You are worthy of being the former champion of Hone. Even after the evolution of Cranium Dragon, it is no match for me. Warhammer Dragon's strength is also very good, and Onyx's noise attack defense is also clever, Zahu said. But, I have a question. Why didn't Parasaurus avoid it at the beginning, but used a head-on attack? Hayata asked curiously. If it was used like this at the beginning, Cranium Dragon would have no chance to evolve. Because if it was like this, how could Parasaurus train its own strength? Zahu smiled slightly, and turned to walk outside. Winning the gym badge has never been a difficult thing for Zahu, so how to make the gym competition the most useful is a question that Zahu has to consider. Let the metal monster suffer a little setback, and train the punching speed and reaction speed of the parasitic mushroom. Strength combined with tactics can quickly win. But the basis of tactics is strength. There is a certain gap between the strength of the skull dragon and the parasitic mushroom. Even if there is no tactics, a stupid frontal attack can also win. On the contrary, it can also train the parasitic mushroom to the greatest extent, and cultivate the firm will of the parasitic mushroom to face all challenges. So Zahu will of course stupidly confront head-on to work hard to improve his strength. But after evolving to the Warhammer Dragon, if he is stupidly fighting head-on without using tactics, that is to ask for abuse. Zahu still cherishes his Pokémon very much, so he naturally uses tactics. The weakness of the Warhammer Dragon is that most of its body strength comes from its feet. As long as the feet are attacked, and the feet of the Warhammer Dragon are injured, the attack strength and running speed of the Warhammer Dragon will decrease. So with accurate kicks, even if you are not as strong as them, you can still win. Not to mention that the strength of Parasaurolophus is not weaker than that of Warhammer Dragon. Looking at Zahu who was leaving, Hayata smiled helplessly. The gym trainer does not regard victory as the first priority, but more as a mentor, to inspire the potential of the trainer, and make the trainer stronger. But when he met Zahu, he found that he almost became the one who was inspired. Chapter 404 Night Attack. The moonlit night was dim. In the Pokémon Center, Zahu was typing away on the keyboard, analyzing the data on the display. After the gym match, and playing in the Steel City for a while, Zahu began to analyze the stone that Dago asked him to check in. Although it was not his own, and could not be damaged, it was always a good idea to study it. Are you still not going to bed? Kona came over in a loose pajamas. The thing Dago asked us to send is a little different. If I'm not mistaken, it may be related to Dialga. Among the legendary beasts, Dialga and Palkia are both special, Zahu said, and subconsciously picked up the coffee on the table, but was stopped by Kona. Everyone should go to bed, and you are not allowed to drink coffee, otherwise you will not be able to sleep. Okay, I'll go to bed now. Zahu put down the coffee helplessly, and prepared to close the computer to go to bed, but the surroundings suddenly darkened, and fell into darkness. Power outage? Zahu frowned slightly. The Pokémon Center is a place in the city where power supply is prioritized after government agencies, and it has sufficient backup power. In addition, the energy in the Steel City is not ordinary sufficient, so power outages are basically not natural accidents, but invasions. Kona quickly changed out of his pajamas and put on a coat, obviously thinking of something similar to Zahu. As soon as he opened the door, he heard an explosion. Zahu's face became even uglier. He didn't want to guess the right thing, but he guessed it right. Looking over, he saw that the door had been blown open, and a group of people with a G embroidered on their clothes rushed in, and arrested everyone in the Pokémon Center. Boss, save us. Kajiro and Meow Meow, who were tied up at some point, saw Zahu appear, and hurriedly shouted for help. but before he finished speaking, someone next to him kicked Kajiro in the stomach, causing him pain. Zahu's expression suddenly changed, and he said in a deep voice, "Are you all tired of living? Kajiro and Meowth are his most important companions. If he touches them, he will not want to live. Why is Dr. Zahu doing this? We don't have any bad intentions. We just want to make an exchange with Dr. Zahu." The red-haired woman who led the group laughed. The woman has a good figure and a delicate face, but her hair is combed like antennas, which makes her look gloomy and disgusting. "You know our identity, but you dare to threaten us." Kona sneered. "I know, but even if you are the former champion of Hana and the current 4 heavenly kings of Kanto, what can you do? On the contrary, you are all representatives of justice. You will not ignore your companions and the citizens in the Pokémon Center." The red-haired woman said with a smile. "Are you here for Dago Stone?" Zahu said. "Yes, you are worthy of being the former champion of Hone. We have no other intentions, but we hope that Dr. Zahu can cooperate and hand over the things." The red-haired woman said. "Who are you?" Kona said. Knowing their identities, they dared to threaten so confidently. They were either ignorant and fearless, or they were confident enough. However, this group of people did not look ignorant and fearless. Instead, they looked like senior executives of Team Rocket. "This has nothing to do with our deal. I just hope that Dr. Zahu can hand over the things as soon as possible." The red-haired woman said. "Do you have the ability to threaten me?" Zahu said disdainfully. It seems that Dr. Zahu really has not learned his lesson, or he does not believe that we will kill people. The red-haired woman sneered and was about to signal her men to take action, but was horrified to find that she could not move. Before taking action, you didn't even know the strength of the opponent. You thought that everything would be fine after taking hostages? The underground organization of SYNOPSIS is really useless. Zahu shook his head with contempt. A Pokeball on his waist flashed red light, and Lugia's huge body appeared in the Pokémon Center. "Lugia, you used petrification," the red-haired girl said in horror. "I guess so," Zahu replied perfunctorily. Lugia actually only used telekinesis. It was just that, because telekinesis was too strong, it was no different from petrification for these people. "Can't move." The tied-up Kajiro found that these people couldn't move, and he was immediately excited. He did a beautiful carp jump and flew up quickly, then turned around and kicked the person who kicked him just now, cursing while kicking. "I told you to kick me. I told you to kick me. Okay, stop kicking. Wait, if you kick me to cripple me, I'll ask you to pay me." After Kajiro kicked for a while, Zahu dissuaded him. "Pay me." When Kajiro heard these 2 words, his face immediately changed, and he quickly left the person who was kicked, saying that he didn't kick this person. Meow Meow on the side silently put away his claws. "This person was not scratched by me, it was all Kajiro's fault." Zahu looked at the 2 funny people, then looked at the red-haired woman who was leading the group and said, "What's your name?" The red-haired woman closed her eyes coldly and said nothing to show her resistance. "You don't want to cooperate? Well, whatever. You are just a small follower of the Galaxy team anyway. Let Junsha or the 4 heavenly kings deal with you," Zahu said. There was no one with a G on his chest, and he was in SYNOP. He was not the Galaxy team, the largest underground organization in SYNOP. "Do you know who we are?" The red-haired woman opened her glasses suddenly, revealing a hint of surprise. "Nonsense. Do you think your Galaxy team is such a mysterious organization? This time I came to SYNOP. I just came to travel. I have no interest in dealing with your Galaxy team, but since you are looking for death, I can't do anything about it," Zahu said. "Kajiro, Meow Meow, start to tie up these people." "No problem." Kajiro and Meow Meow's expressions lit up, and they found a few thick ropes nearby and tied up all the members of the Galaxy team. "Notify the Heavenly Kings and Champions of SYNOP. If these people are sent to Miss Junsha's mobile phone, they will either be bailed out or opt out," Zahu said. "Okay, I'll contact Sirona right away." Kona took out his mobile phone and called Sirona. Zahu was not idle either, and directly contacted Dago via video. "I thought this guy was going to make peace and be friends, but I didn't expect that he would actually cheat him behind his back." Although it was nothing for Zahu to face Team Galaxy, it would be much easier if he was not an undercover agent, but he was asking for trouble by cheating like this. The video call was quickly connected. Dago appeared on the screen with a lazy expression on his face. Seeing Zahu, he said impatiently, "What's the matter? I just fell asleep and was woken up by your phone call. You thief, you just fell asleep over there and I was almost kidnapped over here," Zahu said unhappily. "Huh? Kidnapped? Because of my stone?" Hearing Zahu's words, Dago suddenly woke up and knew that if it had nothing to do with him, Zahu would definitely not come to him. "Yes, because of your stone. Team Galaxy, the largest underground organization in SYNOPSIS, just kidnapped the entire Pokémon Center to threaten me. You thief, you don't feel comfortable if you don't cheat me for a day, right? Come on, I'll stop traveling and go to the Kalos area to talk about life with you," Zahu said. "Wait, what is Team Jinga? I really don't know. I really didn't mean to trick you." Dago quickly defended. "No, you're kidding me. You're a Hone champion. Don't you know about the largest underground organization in SYNOPSIS?" Zahu said in disbelief. "That's really not the case. Dago Tsuniki, always trick people clearly and never let people be fooled." Dago said. "You are proud of tricking people?" Zahu raised his eyebrows. Although Dago was defending, the pride faintly revealed in his tone made Zahu a little unhappy. Because he had been tricked before. "This is off topic. Anyway, I really didn't lie to you this time. I really don't know about Team Jinga. Forget it. I'm going to Sinnoh now and will arrive the day after tomorrow at the latest. Then I will tell you in person." Dago said. "Then I'll trust you this time. I'll tell you when you come." After Zahu finished speaking, he hung up the phone. I believe 80% of what Dago said. Although Dago is a little off topic, he is really not a bad person. Just like he said, he is very clear about the trap and will not lie. Besides, there is no need to lie. Compared with the last time, this time is really not a big deal. Happy New Year. In the new year, I wish you all good things in pairs, abundant wealth, successful studies, smooth work and career. In short, everything is happy, with endless happiness, peace, and stability, and no disease. In addition, it is the new year, and the monk will give himself a holiday. I will update twice a day for the time being to adjust my state. I have not felt comfortable typing recently, and I'm starting to feel weak. Take a break and improve yourself. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 405 Galaxy Team. I called Serona. She has something to do now and can't come over. However, Wu-Sang, one of the 4 Heavenly Kings, is nearby and will be here soon. Kona hung up the phone and said, "Wu-Sang is nearby? That's good." Zahu nodded. "By the way, what kind of organization is the Galaxy Team?" When I mentioned it to Serona just now, she didn't have a deep impression of the Galaxy Team. She just said that recently some people wearing G-letter uniforms have appeared in various ancient ruins in many areas, but there is no special illegal organization for the time being, and it needs to be investigated. Kona said. "Ah." Zahu was stunned. It turned out that the Galaxy Team was relatively low-key now. He was a little too prophetic. "Do you know something else?" Kona showed her charming smile. "Stop, don't seduce me, I'm telling you." Zahu waved his hand and said, "Team Galaxy is similar to Team Flare. They both despise this world and think it's no longer good, so they plan to reshape the world. But Team Flare just wants to reduce the population. They regard themselves as gods, qualified to decide what kind of people can live in the new world, and plan to control Zygote and then kill them all. Does Team Galaxy want to destroy all mankind?" Kona said. "No, you underestimate them too much. They plan to recreate a perfect ideal new world, a world with only light and no darkness." Zahu said. "Creating a new world, out of nothing? How is that possible?" Kona looked unconvinced, but halfway through his words, he suddenly realized and said, "Dialga and Palkia. Smart. Team Galaxy's target is Dialga and Palkia. They are much more promising than Team Magma and Team Aqua. One organization wants to capture 2 legendary Pokémon, and they are 2 more powerful than Kyogre and Groudon." Zahu said. In the Legend of Sinnoh, Dialga and Palkia created the Pokémon of time and space respectively, and they are even closely related to the legendary Arceus. Team Galaxy actually has ideas about them. Are they looking for death? Kona said. Who knows? Maybe they think hell is also a perfect new world. No matter what their identities were in life, when they get there, ghosts are equal and must be judged. Zahu smiled, but he knew in his heart that Team Galaxy was not fanciful. In the animation, they really caught them, and the 3 sacred mushrooms were also caught as a bonus. All 5 mythical beasts became prisoners of Team Galaxy, and in the end, Team Galaxy can even be said to have not failed. Because Team Galaxy's leader, Red Sun, really used Dialga and Palkia to open the door to a new world, and then abandoned Team Galaxy and went in himself, his life and death unknown. For the Sinnoh Alliance, Team Galaxy's plan failed. Without the leader, Team Galaxy was disbanded, and the Sinnoh region returned to peace. But for Red Sun, he really arrived at the new world of his dreams. However, because of this, in Zahu's heart, although the Galaxy team is the most unfathomable and even the most powerful underground organization, he has never taken it to heart, because they will kill themselves. Why worry about it? Just let them solve it themselves. I just didn't expect to bump into them in Steel City. Then, how did you know? Kona said. Secret. Zahu said. Well, that means there is no way to investigate it in detail. Just give Sharona and the others a simple reminder. But if they are targeting Dialga and happen to bump into Dago and Sharona, even if these 2 people put aside their personal champion status, they are both descendants of top wealthy families, and their personal strength is not weak at all. If they collide like this, I'm afraid there will be a big explosion. Kona said. Who cares? 2 first-class wealthy families. Like Kajiro, they are people who will go home to inherit billions of assets if they don't work hard. In short, they won't suffer much loss. Poor people like me can't compare. Zahu said. So you work hard so that your son or daughter can also inherit billions of assets. Kona said. Forget it. Being the head of a top Cheeble is very tiring. We can just be multimillionaires. And we have your family property, so I can just eat a bowl of delicious soft rice. Zahu said. Kona is also a rich and beautiful woman. Although she is not as good as Sharona and Dago, she is still very well off compared to ordinary people. Okay, I'll support you. Kona smiled. Yeah. Zahu leaned on Kona with a little submissive expression. Kona was both angry and amused and said, okay, go back to sleep. Yeah. Zahu nodded his head frantically, his eyes shining. Good sleep, good sleep. Traveling together, camping in the wild, with Kajiro and Meowth, it's always hard to do anything. Now we are finally at the Pokémon Center, and we have plenty of time when Dago comes. The time, the place, and the people are alright. Zahu walked into the room with Kona happily. Life is nourishing and harmonious. The next day, Dago had not arrived yet, but Wusong, one of the 4 heavenly kings of Sinnoh, had arrived. Psycho King Gamatsu, with purple hair and round eyes, exudes a gentle meaning. He was the runner-up of the last Sinnoh Champion League, and therefore some people believe that he is the strongest among the 4 heavenly kings of Sinnoh. However, this statement is not widely recognized, and Zahu himself does not agree. Among the 4 heavenly kings of Sinnoh, Liu is the weakest, and the other 3 are on par, so it is hard to say who is the strongest. Sorry to bother Dr. Zahu and King Kona. Gamatsu said. It's not a big deal, but it's my fault. Zahu smiled. He is not as familiar with the 4 heavenly kings and champions of Sinnoh as he is with those of Kanto, but when he evolved eternally last time, he got the contact information of all the heavenly kings and champions, and they became familiar with each other. It's related to that stone, so it's naturally related to me. Gamatsu said. I almost forgot that your main bronze bell, like Dago, has steel and psychic attributes. What Dago is researching, if improved, will also be suitable for you. So you are also among the researchers. Zahu said. That's right. When it comes to strength, we should improve it if we can. Especially with a powerful trainer, like Mr. Zahu ahead of us. If we don't improve our strength, we won't be qualified to say that we are the powerful 4 heavenly kings. Wusong said. It's just luck. Zahu said. Luck itself is a kind of strength. If we don't have luck, we, the Heavenly Kings, won't meet the most suitable Pokémon for us. Besides, Dr. Zahu has never been just lucky. If he didn't have profound knowledge, even if he got the Mega Evolution Stone, he wouldn't be able to make Dragonite and Leaf King achieve Mega Evolution. Opportunities are always given to those who are prepared, Wusong said. Zahu smiled slightly and didn't continue the topic. If he denied it blindly, it would be hypocritical. If he admitted it, it would be too conceited. Drive Zahu has Lugia, a legendary Pokémon with psychic attributes. I wonder if you can use Lugia to have a friendly match with my Bronze Bell? Wusong said. Use Lugia. Excuse me, King Wusong, your Bronze Bell is no match for Lugia. Zahu said. If it was a year ago, Lugia might not have been able to take down Bronze Bell 100%, and even half a year ago, Lugia would have had to spend a lot of effort to take down Bronze Bell, but now, it's easy. Moreover, both sides are psychic attribute Pokémon, and their moves are similar, so the possibility of Bronze Bell being killed is higher. But only in this way can we see the higher realm of psychic Pokémon. Wusong said. Okay. Zahu saw Wusong's sincerity and did not refuse, just as a warm-up for Lugia. Chapter 406 Warming up with Wusong. After deciding to have a friendly competition, Zahu and Wusong left the matter to others. The two came to the open space in the Pokémon Center that was specially provided for passing Pokémon trainers to fight. Bronze Bell, come out. Wusong threw a Pokéball. A red light flashed, and a Pokémon that looked like a big bell floated in the air. Xiaoluo, come out and test the opponent's superpowers. Zahu threw a Pokéball. Lugia appeared in the air calmly, flapped its wings, and the wind and clouds changed, and the airflow surged violently. Although it had not yet taken action, this breath alone made Bronze Bell feel oppressive, and a layer of blue mysterious mind power surged around his body to resist. It is indeed the legendary Super Beast. Feeling the powerful power of Lugia, Wusong was not panicked, but showed a joyful expression, even implying a hint of pilgrimage. It was not a pilgrimage of worship for Lugia, but a higher level of worship for Super Pokémon. Bronze Bell, pray for rain. Wusong said. The body of the Bronze Bell was turbulent in the air, strange super energy sound waves emerged, and a large piece of dark clouds in the sky automatically condensed. Zahu was stunned, not knowing what the meaning of Wusong's order was. The Bronze Bell had both superpowers and steel attributes, but there was no water. Praying for rain had no effect on the Bronze Bell. Lugia was not a fire-type Pokémon, so it would not be weakened at all. On the contrary, it would increase. After all, Lugia was also known as the god of the sea, and lived in the sea all year round. Water was also a boost for him. Block it. Zahu said, although he didn't know what the intention was, but since Wusong wanted to see where the higher superpower realm was, he would make all the special moves of the Bronze Bell unable to be used. Lugia's eyes flashed with blue light, and the wings that covered the sky and the sun flapped, and an exploding hurricane rose out of thin air, easily tearing through the dark clouds. Bronze Bell, don't lose. Wusong said. A green light flashed across the body of the Bronze Bell, and a strange rhythm appeared on the strange patterns on the body of the bell. Then a whimpering sound was heard, and a mysterious power surged. The water vapor in the air surged, and it seemed that there was also the power of space. Zahu's face changed slightly, and then he smiled and said, I almost forgot that the Bronze Bell is also the god of harvest. The Bronze Bell is a very religious Pokémon. It is said that it can open the entrance to another world, so that rain can fall to irrigate crops, so it was called the god of harvest by ancient people. In addition, the body of the Bronze Bell is naturally covered with magical patterns, which makes it unique. Therefore, ancient people often worship it as a god. Evidence can be found in many relics. Zahu doesn't know the specific reason, but the Bronze Bell is indeed better than ordinary Pokémon in controlling rain. Looking at the struggling Bronze Bell, Zahu felt a little regretful. Haxorus was worshipped as the god of agriculture in ancient times. If it had not evolved, it would be a pity that the god of agriculture would be against the god of harvest. Yes, Bronze Bell's own superpowers alone are not enough to fight against Lugia, but with the strange patterns on Bronze Bell, it's different. Only in this way can it fight against Lugia's superpowers. Wusong's glasses reflected a confident glow. Bronze Bell, let Lugia know the power of our superpowers. Bronze Bell's body shook, and a loud bell sounded, as if it came from ancient times, and went straight into the brain. It's worthy of being the main Pokémon of the Psycho King, but Wusong, you said you wanted to see a higher level of superpowers, and I have to satisfy your wish. Zhou, you saw your strength. Let Bronze Bell know who has the final say on the weather. Zhou said firmly. Lugia roared, stretched out its long neck, and the majestic light blue power flowed on its body surface. Its wings spread, and a violent storm rose. Dark clouds gathered, thunder rumbled, lightning flashed, and Ensweya came overwhelming. The two big eyes of the Bronze Bell, which looked like red balls, suddenly showed a trace of fear. It found that the rain that it had been controlling it will no longer belong to it. Storm, thunder and lightning. Zhou said word by word. When the power of Pokémon reaches a certain level, it is sometimes inferior to use the special moves named by humans to command. Can't the three natural forces of wind, rain, and thunder kill people or defeat Pokémon? Lugia sang loudly, and rushed towards the clouds above like a god. The huge wings swayed violently, and an unmatched terrifying power erupted. A tornado of dozens of meters tightly bound the Bronze Bell. The rain was washed, and the thunder struck. The Bronze Bell struggled hard, but no matter how its telekinesis moved, it could not get rid of the storm at all. It could not advance, or retreat in the powerful attack. Soon, it fell to the ground with a bang, and lost its combat ability. Okay, Xiaoluo, let the wind and rain stop. Zhou said. Lugia flapped his wings, tearing the surrounding clouds apart. Suddenly, the weather cleared up and calmed down, as if the violent storm and thunder just now were all illusions. Is this a deeper manifestation of superpowers? Wusong said with a shocked face. In this battle, he never thought of winning, but he also never thought of losing so badly. He lost without using any special moves. Yes, superpowers are a mysterious thing. They are not as obvious as fire, lightning, and water. They are invisible and intangible, but they really exist between heaven and earth. In my opinion, they can control everything, and they also contain all the attack power, because fire, lightning, and water are natural things, and there is H2O in the air. Zhou said. Use superpowers to control everything. Superpowers are the root of everything. Wusong's eyes lit up, as if he had grasped some key, and was about to enter a new realm. He was only halfway through his thought, but he was frustrated. Superpowers are the root of everything, which is also true, because after the attacks of attributes such as fire, lightning, and water are split, they are molecules, and superpowers can control and combine them. However, this is too difficult. If it is really operated, Wusong's Bronze Bell cannot control it freely. 10 points of strength. I'm afraid that it will not be converted into fire or lightning, and the time to use the special move will be longer. It is completely not worth the loss. It is better to use superpowers directly, to save the loss in the middle. Only Zhou's Lugia can try. It's not the root, but the coordination link of all forces. Zhou corrected. Link. Wusong continued to fall into deep thought. Zhou saw this, and did not disturb Wusong. Everyone has to walk their own path as a trainer. Besides, Zhou himself is really not much better than Wusong in this regard. It's just that, because of the two legendary beasts Lugia and Mewtwo, he stands high, so he can give a little help, but that's all. He can't teach anything. Chapter 407 Goodbye Dago. Bangula, Sharp Stone Attack. In the open space of the Pokémon Center, Bangula roared to the sky, and terrifying power surged into the earth. Countless sharp stone blades burst out, and headed straight for the Bronze Bell. Bronze Bell, Gyro Ball. Wusong raised his glasses, and the Bronze Bell spun rapidly, penetrating all the rocks with force, and rushing straight towards Bangula. Evil Wave. Zhou said calmly. Bangula, who was approaching rapidly by the Bronze Bell, heard the command, and a strong purple light burst out of his mouth immediately, and the evil and domineering wave burst out, shooting directly at the Bronze Bell. The Bronze Bell seemed to disappear, and the speed did not decrease but increased, as if it was really a gyroscope, breaking through the evil wave head-on and violently hitting Bangula's body. Bangula's tank-like strong body could not help, but stagger and almost fell. Electric Cannon Luster. Wusong gave the order calmly. The body of the Bronze Bell floated up, and a silver-white energy bullet condensed at the mouth of the bell, suddenly hitting Bangilla. Bangilla fell to the ground and completely lost his ability to fight. Come back, Bangilla. Zahu was not annoyed when the battle failed. He took out the Pokeball to take Bangilla back and said to Wusong, "You are the superpower king, right? Why do you use steel attribute moves until now when competing with me?" In normal competitions, Wusong used 3 moves: Iron Wall, Gyro Ball, and Electric Cannon Gloss. All steel attribute moves. The Bronze Bell itself has the dual attributes of superpower and steel, and superpower moves have no effect on the evil attributed Bangilla, so naturally you use steel attribute moves. Wusong said, "Is that so? Why do I remember that in the Champion League Open, when you fought against Shirona's Garchomp, you also used these 3 moves? Don't tell me you are the steel attribute king with superpower." Zahu said, "The style of wearing a layer of king attribute skin, but being good at other attribute Pokemon, is the consistent style of your Kanto kings. Do is a dragon king, relying on the flying type to become the champion. Kikuko is a ghost type king, and has more poison type Pokemon than ghost type. It is said that Aju from Johto can become the poison type king under Kikuko's guidance." Wusong said, "That was the king challenge that year. Aju challenged Kikuko, and as a poison type expert, he was almost collapsed by a ghost type king who used poison type tricks." Zahu said with a smile, "So your Kanto 4 kings are the most terrifying, and each king is good at 2 attribute Pokemon. A few of us said before that unless Kikuko retires, Do completely abandons the Kanto king, and replaces a new batch, then Kona or Shiva can become the champion. But now there is a monster like you. If you work like Grandma Kikuko until you are old, it is estimated that within 60 or 70 years, you people in Kanto will not have to challenge the Champions League." Wusong said, "No, you think too much. If I really become the champion, a group of people may not be able to beat the gym, and they may not even be able to participate in the regional meeting." Zahu said, "If he becomes the champion, the Tokiwa Gym's Jenga, the Cerulean Gym's Misty Super Evolved Gyarados, the Nabi Gym's Brock Super Evolved Steelix, and even Bangela Super Evolved, and even Zyossi Zyomeo. He also plans to join a region as a gym trainer. At that time, the newcomers who set out from Pallet Town will not be able to play. You are fierce enough," Wusong said. Zahu shrugged and did not continue the topic, saying, "Okay, enough rest time. Accompany me to practice again. Come on, we have already competed 3 times. I came in a hurry this time, and I only brought 2 Pokemon, Bronze Bell and Kirin Key. If you continue to fight like this, you are just trying to wear me out by fighting in a round robin manner." Wusong said, "Yesterday you said you wanted to fight Lugia, but I didn't refuse. Now you refuse. You are not giving me face." Zahu said, "Dago hasn't arrived yet, but he is bored, so he sparred with Wusong. After all, it is not easy to find an opponent of the king. Steelix, Tyranitar, and Bangira took turns. But unfortunately, the 3 Tyranitar and Bangira had attribute restraint, and they were still beaten by Bronze Bell. After all, Bronze Bell is Wusong's strongest main force, which is equivalent to Shirona's Garchomp being Shirona's strongest main force. Okay, I have to pay back the favor," Wusong said helplessly. There was only 1 game to challenge Lugia, but he had to fight 3 games. And there are 2 evil types. If there are more, the main force of the Super King will also be defeated. Next, Parasaurolophus, are you ready? Zahu touched the Pokeball and was about to fight, and suddenly heard an explosion in the distance. Zahu and Wusong immediately looked over, looking at the mine in the distance. The earth and rocks splashed, and a black Super Evolved Charizard flew out. Super Evolved Charizard? Zahu's eyes showed a playful look. "Let's go together." Wusong took back the Bronze Bell and said, "The trainer who can make Charizard complete the Super Evolution is probably not weak." Zyalo. Zahu threw the Pokeball, released Lugia, and then rode Lugia, and flew directly over. "It's really cool to have a flying Pokemon." Wusong shook his head, and lay on the Bronze Bell awkwardly. The Bronze Bell took him up to the sky and flew over. Lugia flapped its wings, and arrived at the place. Looking into the distance, he was happy to see the changes in the field. He actually knew both trainers who were fighting. The trainer of Charizard was Alan, who he hadn't seen for a long time. And Alan's opponent was Dago. This Charizard is quite powerful. It can compete with Dago's Metagross. Wusong said while sitting on the bronze bell. Give him a few more years, and you'll probably meet him at a king's meeting. Zahu said with a smile. Do you know him? Wusong said. AI Lan, a former senior cadre of the Flash team, but after the Flash team incident, he handed over the Mega Evolution Stone and Evolution Keystone he got from the Flash team to the Alliance. Unexpectedly, half a year later, he found the Mega Evolution Stone again. Sure enough, he is the screenwriter's favorite son. Zahu said. Huh? Screenwriter? Wusong said in surprise. Life is like a play, and God is the screenwriter, arranging the script of life for each of us, and some people are born to be the screenwriter's favorite son, with good luck, high strength, and handsome looks. Zahu said. Then you must be the screenwriter's favorite father. Wusong complained. He is only 1 or 2 years older than Ailan below. But now he is a top doctor, a former champion, and even the strongest champion, and he has so many honors that he can't let go. People should be low-key, don't go against the sky all the time, be the boss, and make a fortune quietly. We should be low-key. Zahu said. Who gave you the face to say that? Wusong looked at Zhihui with disdain. Low-key. The battle in the waters of Kana City shocked the whole world, and you told me to be low-key. Zhihui looked proud. I'm a low-key person. I have been studying for the past 6 months, and now when I travel in SYNOPSIS, not many people know me. Although this is related to the geographical isolation and the barrier of information exchange, it also fully shows Zhihui's low-key in the past 6 months. Chapter 408, Meeting Ailan again. Zahu and Wusong did not hide their whereabouts on purpose, so Dago and Ailan, who were fighting below, naturally noticed them. However, after seeing Zahu, both of them calmed down and continued to command the battle. Charizard, Explosion Flame. Ailan roared. The super evolved Charizard roared, and a raging grey-blue flame burned all over its body, burning everything, and the surrounding land was charred black. Charizard fluttered its wings and rushed towards the Super Metagross fearlessly. Metagross, Comet Fist. Dago was calm and graceful. The super evolved Metagross, with a glow on its body, fiercely collided with Charizard, and its 4 fists hit Charizard fiercely. Charizard roared angrily, and under the stimulation of pain, its strength increased a little, but it seemed powerless in the face of the absolute strength of Metagross. Metagross looked fierce, ignoring the blue flames around it, and in one go, it knocked Charizard to the ground on the side, causing the ground to crack. Charizard. Ailan said anxiously. Roar. Charizard barely stood up and roared to reassure Ailan, then stared at Metagross with a fighting look. What a good partner. In order to reassure the trainer, the Pokémon fought with all its strength. Dago looked at Charizard and Ailan and said, because I will become the strongest with Charizard, this is the agreement between it and me. Ailan said firmly. Charizard, use Dragon Claw. The illusory energy on Charizard's claws flashed, and it pounced on Metagross with murderous intent. Hold it. Dago said calmly. A faint energy shield immediately appeared on Metagross. Charizard's claws slapped the shield hard, but it couldn't shake it at all. Determined will, deep bond, very good, but unfortunately, you met me. Dago said as he lifted the silver blue hair on his forehead. Metagross, strong mind. A terrifying mind suddenly burst out from Metagross's red eyes, covering Charizard's whole body. Charizard's body froze, unable to move for a moment, its body as stiff as iron. Before Charizard could struggle free, Metagross used its telekinesis to throw it hard, causing it to fall from the sky to the ground, its body in excruciating pain. Electric Cannon Light. Dago resolutely issued the final attack command. A flash of cold light shone, and the light burst out from Metagross' body, hitting Charizard. With a flash of light, Charizard was forced to exit its super evolved form and return to its original appearance. Come back, Charizard. Ailan took back the defeated Charizard. Although he lost the game, he could not lose his grace. He stepped forward to Dago and said, thank you, Mr. Dago, for your advice. It's just a competition. Your strength has surpassed the average level. In a few years, I may see you in the Champions League. Dago said, thank you, Mr. Dago, but my goal is not just to enter the Champions League. I want to be the strongest and also want to defeat someone. Because he let me know how powerful a Pokémon trainer can be. Ailan said. The man you are talking about should be the man who is on Lugia now. Except for him who can barely represent the strongest limit of the trainer now. The rest are probably not worthy of this title. Dago said. That's right. Ailan nodded. As expected, with him as your goal, you can go a long way, because the goal is far away. Dago said. If the goal can be easily achieved, what is the point of setting it? I want to be the strongest. Ailan said with a firm look. Dago looked at Ailan, feeling the firmness of the boy's eyes, and couldn't help but smile. He said to Zahu in the sky, we have been watching the show for so long, it's time to come down. No, the scenery in the sky is very charming. We are just enjoying the scenery. On the contrary, your duel here affects my viewing of the scenery. Zahu joked, speaking, patting Lugia's body and landing below. Okay, you finally came to see me. Let's talk about compensation for cheating me twice. If you don't give me an explanation. Zahu laughed and threw out 2 more Pokeballs. Dragonite and Articuno flew out immediately, each occupying a position, trapping Dago and Metagross. I came too hastily this time, and didn't bring any tape. How about I go buy some glue for you now? It'll work if I can make do with it. Dago said. What the hell? Your broken stone is in Kona's hands now. Come with me to the Pokémon Center and take it away, and then it has nothing to do with me. It's just related to Dialga, which will be related to Team Galactic. When the time comes, there will be a lot of trouble. You can deal with it yourself. Zahu said. Because trouble is too annoying, I never want to cause trouble, but if someone comes to me on his own initiative to cause trouble for me, then I will only become his trouble. Dago said indifferently. It doesn't matter. Research is your research, and trouble is also your trouble. It has nothing to do with me. Now the things are handed over to you. Tomorrow I will continue my journey and go to Yuanzi Town to play the gorgeous competition. Zahu said. Gorgeous contest? Now the regional tournament is not enough for you to play? You want to extend your evil hand to the gorgeous contest? Dago looked at Zahu with a surprised face and said. What do you mean by playing? It's to experience different life and exercise yourself. Zahu said. Don't flatter yourself. You have bad taste. Dago complained. Speaking of bad taste, are you qualified to say that I have bad taste? At least I teased children everywhere and made a Kagetsu and inherited a position in the 4 heavenly kings of Hone. It's not like someone who knows how to dig stones from beginning to end. Zahu said with a hint of meaning. That is to discover information from ancient times and connect the past and the present. The world has changed and many things have been lost. We have no way of knowing. Only these stones have experienced vicissitudes and exist. They are witnesses of time. Only after humans understand their roots and past can they make the most correct choice. Dago said. That's why you made President Darkran leave vomit blood in anger. Zahu said. My main job is champion, and digging rocks is just a hobby. It's Macaulay who should make him vomit blood. He regards being a coordinator trainer as his main job, and champion king is just a side job. When you participate in the gorgeous competition, beat him up, and vent the anger for the president. Dago said. You don't need to say this, it will definitely happen. After all, if Doc Ranla's president Yashi is too desperate for him, he will call us again. Zahu said. You know, Macaulay and I are too familiar with each other, so it's not easy to do it. Dago said. Zahu nodded to show that he understood. Ahem. Wusong coughed dryly, indicating Zahu and Dago that there are outsiders here. Yuhon champions are all weird, which is no secret in the king circle, but in the eyes of outsiders, the king champion is still a symbol of strength and glory, glorious and righteous. Don't embarrass yourself in front of outsiders, okay? You are embarrassing our entire king circle. What's up? Is your throat uncomfortable? Go back to the Pokémon Center and take some medicine. I just happened to bring Alan's Charizard to Miss Joyful treatment. Zahu said. Although the Pokémon Center mainly treats Pokémon, some common problems can also be treated. After all, Jilla's egg nanny has perfect skills. Wuzong's expression darkened. Is it what I mean? Zahu smiled slightly, turned to look at Alan and said, we haven't seen each other for a while. I haven't seen you since the battle in the Kana Sea. Are you okay? Fortunately, since the matter of flattery was exposed, I handed over the things I got from the Flash team to Miss Junsha and started traveling again. After that, I finally relied on my own strength to find Charizard's Mega Evolution Stone and Entry Keystone, so I came to Sinnoh and planned to challenge the Sinnoh League. Hearing Zahu's question, Alan immediately replied. In Alan's heart, Blatano was once the first, and then Fladderly took his place. Zahu was a senior who was slightly higher than the passerby. However, after discovering that Fladderly was not malicious, the idol collapsed, and remembered that Zahu had told him that there was no free lunch, implicitly placing Zahu in a very high position. You are also here to challenge the Sinnoh League. This year's Sinnoh League will probably be the strongest league meeting. Without the strength of a king, you are not even qualified to enter the semi-finals. Zahu laughed. Without the strength of a king, you are not qualified to enter the semi-finals? You are not kidding. Wuzong was surprised. As far as I know, there are at least 3 trainers who have king level main pets participating in this competition, and there may even be 5. Zahu laughed. Alan's Charizard, Zyos's Lucario and Suicune, and the Darkto who is likely to be the 6th beast in the animation. And if Xiaomao and Shinji practice more during this period, their Blastoise and Charizard may also enter the king stage after Super Evolution. That's exactly 5. So exaggerated. Then I'll go to the Sinnoh Lily of the Valley convention this year and be a guest. Dago said. That's your freedom. It's your business to fight with Team Galaxy. Anyway, you come to prove that you are not deliberately trying to trick me. I don't want to bother you. Anyway, I'm here for vacation. Don't bother me. If you really need help, you can try to find Alan to give young people some training opportunities. Zahu said. Chapter 409, Run, Kajiro. Boss, what should we do next? This year's grand tournament has been held for a while, and about 200 games have been held. There are about 300 games left. The places closest to us are Yuanxi Town, Hezi Town, and Mingxi Town. And we have to go to Baiyi City for the gym competition. Which way should we choose next? Meow. After throwing the things to Dago, Zahu and his group set out on the journey again. As usual, Meow Meow planned the route. Let Kajiro decide. Whether I go or not, the 8 gyms are always there. But if Kajiro doesn't collect 5 ribbon medals in advance, those grand tournaments will not wait for him. Zahu said. The development of the Sinnoh Grand Tournament is better than that of the Hone Grand Tournament, but the number of grand tournaments held is less. There are only 540 games, and only 108 contestants can participate in the annual Grand Tournament celebration. Unlike the Hone Grand Tournament, more than 1,000 games are held before a Grand Tournament celebration, to gather more than 200 contestants. Of course, 540 games sounds like a lot at first glance, but in fact, they are distributed throughout the Sinnoh region, and the number of games a player can challenge is very limited. In addition, Zahu has to challenge the regional tournament, so for Kajiro, the remaining games are not particularly many. I'm the boss. Kajiro looked flattered. Could it be that, after coming to Sinnoh, he can finally turn the tables and make decisions? Yes, I'll let you make decisions again. Are you happy? Are you surprised? Zahu said. Yeah. Kajiro nodded quickly like a chicken pecking at rice. Do a good job. I believe in you. If you do a good job, I'll give you a raise. Zahu patted Kajiro on the shoulder and said. Kajiro, who felt honored, nodded solemnly. Just as he was about to think hard, he suddenly realized that, if he did a good job, he would give me a raise. Is the boss such a good person? Is he so merciful all of a sudden? Is this logical? It's illogical. He must be threatening me in a sarcastic way, saying that if I don't do a good job, he will deduct my salary. Kajiro suddenly realized, and looked like he had seen through Zahu. Zahu was puzzled. What's wrong with this guy? It's not enough to make decisions for him. He wants me to deduct money from him. This physique? Zahu nodded seriously. It's very possible. This guy usually has this tendency. Boss, let's go to Mingxi Town. We can get there through a forest. It's not far. And after passing Mingxi Town, there is a wild wilderness area. Kajiro said. In order not to be exploited by the black-hearted boss, he still has to work hard and perform hard. Wild wilderness area. Is there such a place in Sinnoh? Zahu was surprised. In the wild wilderness area, there are a large number of wild Pokémon, including rare Pokémon such as Dratini, and they can be captured at will. But you can't fight, you can only use the 30 hunting balls. provided by the wild wilderness area, to throw the ball directly. The probability of being able to capture a Pokémon by throwing the hunting ball directly has always been pitifully low. Many people can't capture a Pokémon with 30 balls. Of course, Zahoo should be excluded here. 30 hunting balls to capture 30 Kentoras. It seems a very stupid way of capturing them, and the other 29 hunting balls were wasted. However, if it was someone else, they would be thankful if they could capture 3 with 30 hunting balls. I remember that there used to be a similar wild wilderness area in the great wetlands of Wetlands City, but because the people there liked frogs so much and were keen on holding frog festivals, there were fewer and fewer people managing it, and it was less and less noticeable. It was getting worse and worse than our Kanto. Kona explained. Frog festival? Worship frog? Zahoo looked at Kona in surprise. Does an ordinary Pokémon like frog need a festival? Do they regard frog as a god? Everyone there has a frog, and every year they hold a beauty pageant for frog. Kona explained with a smile. Beauty pageant? Zahoo was dumbfounded. With frog's appearance, there is still a beauty pageant? Everyone has a different understanding of beauty. Zyarksha even thinks that the stinging jellyfish is cute. Kona said. I'm shallow and ignorant. Thinking of Zyarksha's unique aesthetics, Zahoo was defeated. Seeing Zahoo's embarrassment, Kona smiled and said, okay, let's go. The gorgeous competition in Mingzi Town will start soon. Don't waste time. Yes, the competition is about to start. Don't waste time. Kajiro nodded his head frantically, got up quickly, and ran towards the goal. In the blink of an eye, Kajiro disappeared from Zahoo's sight. At this speed, it's a waste of talent not to participate in the running competition. The next time the doctor sports meeting is held, I will let him represent me, Zahoo said. Still talking nonsense. If you don't catch up, you won't be able to catch up with Kajiro. Kona rolled his eyes at Zahoo. It will take only a few minutes to catch up with him, right? Zahoo released all his Pokémon from the Pokéball. Lugia, Articuno, and Hulk flew out at the same time. Choose one each, and then watch the special program run. Kajiro Online. Zahoo smiled. See Zyarksha running? Meow Meow was excited and jumped onto the head of the newt. Roar the newt cried out with a little dissatisfaction, shaking its big head. Meow Meow immediately hugged the newt tightly and said, little newt, take me flying. I will buy you some dried fish tonight. Hearing about the dried fish, the newt's ferocious face showed a happy expression, no longer resisted, and obediently accepted Meow Meow's ride. Zahoo heard the conversation between Meow Meow and the newt, and couldn't help but said, Meow Meow, stay away from the newt in the future. During the period when the Kabutops evolved into the newt, Zahoo's main energy was on research, so the care was mainly given to Meow Meow. As a result, the newt, a dragon Pokémon with a fierce reputation, was raised by Meow Meow to be a foodie, and a foodie who likes to eat dried fish. No, the newt likes mine. Meowth couldn't get off the newt. With the newt around, life was much more convenient. The newt also showed a longing expression to Zahoo. Without Meowth, it would not have a stable source of midnight snacks in the future. Forget it, I'll talk about you later. Zahoo saw the helpless look on the two guys' faces. There was no way to let them go for the time being. After all, the newt was his Pokémon and Meowth was his best assistant. It was difficult to prevent the two from meeting. He could only think of ways to slowly educate the newt and let it establish the correct 3 views. The newt is a representative of evil, not a hopeless foodie like Snorlax and Meowth. Fly. Watch the live broadcast. Run, Kajiro. Zahoo said. I suddenly understand now why every time Kajiro mentions you, he seems to have persecution delusion. Maybe it's not that he has persecution delusion, but that you are really persecuting. Kona said. Nonsense, he's obviously very happy. Zahoo said. Is it him who feels happy, or you? Kona said. I think, isn't that enough? I'm him. Zahoo said in surprise. Chapter 410 Jimmy. I have to say that Kajiro's stamina is really good. He ran nearly 10,000 meters in one breath without blushing or panting. Seeing this, Zahoo wanted to sign him up for a marathon. However, when he learned that he was running while Zahoo and his group were flying freely on Pokémon, Kajiro suffered a critical hit, and then, suddenly he felt sore in his back and legs, and fell down. Zahu knew that this guy's body was definitely strong and nothing would happen, but it was getting dark, so he simply stopped to cook and camp. Then at night, when it was time to eat, as expected, Kachiro, who looked like he was about to die, suddenly became energetic and got up to eat vigorously. Zahu had such an expression on his face and then continued to eat. The Pokémon also ate happily. Zyarks in Linbao had a happy meal under the gentle care of the 3 Pokémon, Ninetale, Togekiss, and Fairy Elf. Because of these days of familiarity, Linbao has become more and more accustomed to getting along with Ice-type and Fairy-type Pokémon. Sometimes, for food, he even acts cute, acts coquettishly, and rolls with Jiuwei and the other 2 from time to time. This has realized Zahu's grand blueprint of a harmonious family of dragons and monsters. Xiaoxiao was eating Pokémon food, and the Pokémon food fell from his hand without paying attention, and rolled into the grass. In the spirit of diligence and thrift, Linbao got into the grass with his little body to find food. The grass was dim and dark. Zyarks in Linbao suddenly sensed a commotion in the grass. 2 long black whips tied the Pokémon food together and stretched it towards it. Zyarks in Linbao was immediately shocked and sweated coldly. He jumped out of the grass and ran to Jiuwei, trembling. Jiuwei was furious when he saw this and protected Linbao behind him, staring at the grass with unfriendly eyes, and the 9 tails behind him stretched out, emitting a chill. Who dares to bully my cub? Get out of here if you want to save your life. The other Pokémon also reacted and surrounded Heartscale, staring at the bushes with a fierce look. Who dares to touch the little baby in the team? Bullying a little baby, do you have any shame? Bullying the family without adults? Even the usually unsociable Banjara stood up, looking like he was going to fight and kill. Under the angry glares of the Pokémon, the bushes were in commotion again. 2 small forelimbs stretched out, and then the real murderer who frightened Heartscale revealed its true face completely, a Bulbasaur. Seeing the ferocious expressions of a group of Pokémon, Bulbasaur was also confused for a moment, with a scared face, thinking, what's wrong with these Pokémon? Look like they want to kill it? Subconsciously tightened his body, and then 2 vine whips on Bulbasaur stretched out, and handed the Pokémon food just now to Heartscale. It is just a little frog that came to return the food. It was just that the view in the bush was too dark, and Heartscale saw its vine whip as black, thinking it was a black snake Pokémon, and ran out in fear, so it followed. It really had no ill intentions. After understanding the situation, Ninetales and a group of Pokémon suddenly became embarrassed. Did they make the wrong choice? They scattered like birds and beasts at once, faster than when they came, pretending that nothing had happened. The Pokémon that wanted to repay kindness with enmity just now were not them. There were only Ninetales, Togekiss, and Fairy Elf, the 3 nannies appointed by Zahu for Heartscale. There was no choice but to accompany Heartscale. Heartscale also realized the mistake he made, ran over to eat the food, and then played with Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur was also confused, feeling that the Pokémon he met today were very strange, and they were all different at once. However, most grass Pokémon are gentle and helpful, and this Bulbasaur is no exception. It soon started to play happily with Heartscale. Bulbasaur? Zahu came over curiously. A group of Pokémon made such a big noise. He was not blind or deaf, so he reacted naturally. Is this the evolved form of Bulbasaur? Kajiro also came over excitedly, and then said to Zahu, boss, can I capture it? It depends on whether he wants to, and more importantly, we have to make sure it is a wild Pokémon. Wild Bulbasaur is not a little rare, Zahu said. As soon as Zahu finished speaking, he heard someone calling Bulbasaur's name. Soon, he saw a brown-haired boy coming out. When Bulbasaur saw him, he excitedly jumped into the arms of the young man. The boy saw the anxious expression on Bulbasaur's face and immediately relaxed, and happily rubbed Bulbasaur's head. So it has an owner. Kajiro sighed immediately, like a defeated rooster. He was exhausted, and sat back to eat. My name is Jimmy, and this is my Bulbasaur. Did it cause any trouble to you? If so, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. The brown-haired boy said shyly. No, on the contrary, it seems to have helped my Heartscale. I should thank you very much. My name is Zahu, and these people are my partners, Kona, Kachiro, and Meowth. Zahu also introduced himself. That's good. Jimmy breathed a sigh of relief. Zahu was amused, thinking that he was really a shy young man, and said, "Have you eaten? If not, do you mind eating together? Is it okay? Isn't it troublesome?" Jimmy said with a look of surprise. "No, there is also Bulbasaur. It's time to eat something." Zahu said. "Thank you, but can I let my other Pokémon come out too?" Jimmy said shyly, feeling embarrassed. "It's okay, when you go out, you rely on friends. It's just a few Pokémon, right?" Zahu said. "Thank you, Mr. Zahu." Jimmy was grateful, threw the Pokéball on his waist, and said excitedly, "Blastoise, Charmeleon, and Dragonite, come out." Zahu's calm expression paused slightly, and he turned around and looked over. Looking at the honest Blastoise, the fighting Charmeleon, and the Dragonite flying in the sky, his face had a strange expression. There were 4 Pokémon in total, but 3 of them were Kanto's 3 Pokémon and 1 was a Kanto quasi-god. Although this Linoop was not as good as his, it was definitely luxurious. Moreover, Jimmy seemed to have only 4 Pokémon in total. From observation, Zahu felt that this guy might be a novice trainer. And if he was really a novice trainer, then this Linoop would be really terrifying. Zahu was almost outdone. "Jimmy, what's your last name?" Zahu asked curiously. If you come from a wealthy family, it is possible to do this. Although it is really difficult to get both the 3 Pokémon and Ratini at the same time, as long as you spend money regardless of the cost and spend time, in a few years, there is still hope to find them in the black market. It was just a bunch of Kanto Pokémon. This person should be from a wealthy family in Kanto, and a direct descendant. He was not the kind of person who would take on a family business in the future. He was just an ordinary member of the family, and he had not yet made such a high investment. He basically knew the wealthy families in Kanto who had the money to give such good Pokémon to their descendants, especially after becoming the Hone champion. He knew them all. Although it was impossible to know everyone, he could still call out the names of the direct descendants. But he just didn't remember having seen this person before. Chapter 411 Another protagonist's fate. Although Jimmy was puzzled by Zahu's question, he still honestly gave his last name. When Zahu heard the answer, his expression was stunned. That last name didn't belong to any wealthy family in Kanto, so the Jimmy in front of him seemed to be just an ordinary civilian. He became even more curious, but it would be embarrassing if he asked too many questions. He had to suppress his doubts and invited Jimmy to have dinner together. However, during the meal, Zahu was embarrassed to ask more questions, but Kajero and Meowth didn't realize it. They were curious and asked as well. Jimmy didn't hide it and said generously, "It's all coincidence. Blastoise is my initial Pokémon, and Bulbasaur, Charmeleon and Haxorus were all met by coincidence." Coincidence? Zahu had a strange expression. 1 was a coincidence, 2 were good luck. How many do you have? Yes, Blastoise is my original Pokémon. When he was still Stottle, I traveled with him in Kanto. One day, we got lost in the forest. Stottle and I were both very hungry. There was only 1 rice bowl left. We wanted to give the rice bowl to each other, but the rice bowl accidentally rolled down the hillside and was swallowed by Bulbasaur. Then Bulbasaur took you out of the forest and followed you? Zahu imagined what would happen next. Yes, Jimmy said. A rice bowl for a Bulbasaur? Are you sure it was a rice bowl and not a master ball? Or a love potion or something like that? Zahu was complaining in his heart, but he said calmly, "What about Charmeleon? One day, when I was traveling with Squirtle and Bulbasaur, I fell into the river and almost drowned. After being rescued by Bulbasaur, I had a golden Magikarp in my arms. An old man happened to pass by and was very excited when he saw the Magikarp. It seemed that he had wanted to catch the Magikarp for a long time. He insisted on exchanging his Charmeleon with me, and then I exchanged it with him," Jimmy said. Golden Magikarp? Zahu's mouth twitched. Although the golden Magikarp is still a Magikarp, a salted fish, it is more difficult to catch a golden Magikarp than to catch a quasi-god. Yes. Then I traveled with Squirtle, Charmeleon, and Bulbasaur. One day, I was lying on a boat. The boat was not tied tightly, so I followed the boat to a referee school and became an intern referee, Jimmy said. Intern referee. Zahu glanced at Jimmy's 4 Pokémon, and his mouth twitched. Isn't it a bit of a waste of talent for you to be a referee with this Lanoop? Yes, but teacher Serena from the referee school thinks I'm not suitable to be a referee. She said that I have more potential and asked me to continue to take risks, just like Zyozzy and the others. Jimmy said. Zyozzy? Is he carrying a Pikachu on his shoulder and a black-faced and squinting girl who runs to beautiful women and a girl holding Marilau? Zahu said. And Zioyao and Zyasheng. Mr. Zahu, do you know them too? Jimmy said in surprise. It is too difficult to meet related people during a long journey. Zyozzy, he is my younger brother. Zahu said. The names may be the same, but with so many characteristics, it is definitely impossible to be fake. Is that so? I can come out, thanks to Zyozzy and the others for helping me and giving me confidence. Are Zyozzy and the others traveling in Sinnoh now? Jimmy said. Zyozzy, Zyaksha, and Zyagang are in Sinnoh now, but Zyoyao should be in Johto, and Zyasheng is in his hometown of Hone. Zahu said. Oh. Jimmy suddenly realized. The remaining Haxorus, did you meet it after you left the referee school? Zahu said. Well, after I left the referee school, I continued to drift on the sea in a boat. Suddenly, I encountered a storm and the boat was broken. Blastoise tried to swim, but couldn't take me away. Then Haxorus came out to help me and took me to a small island. Later, Haxorus also left with me. Jimmy said. Okay. Zahu smiled stiffly. Your luck is almost better than Zyozzy. Could it be that the screenwriter thinks Zyozzy is too untalented, so he plans to make you the protagonist? Or did Zyozzy win the championship, so the protagonist has to be replaced? Your luck is too good. Among the people Meow Meow has seen, only the boss and Zyozzy are better than you. Meow Meow was surprised. It's okay. Jimmy said modestly. It's okay. Zahu had a blank expression on his face, and he complained in his heart. If you are okay, you can't survive if you are not so good. Speaking of luck, he can't compare with Zyozzy and Jimmy. He has so many special Pokémon, mainly because he knows the plot and uses the luck of Zyozzy, Zyajaro and Meowth. Lugia and Latias are all because of Zyozzy's luck, and the giant Gyarados is even more so because it was caught by Meowth. Speaking of pure luck, Zahu's luck can only be said to be not bad. Jimmy, what are your plans next? Zahu asked. Continue traveling. Then I will find out what I want. I should challenge this year's Sinnoh League. Jimmy said. Probably? Zahu looked at this unconfident child with a smile. Then are you interested in being my researcher? Researcher? What is this? Jimmy asked curiously. Formally introduced to you, my name is Zahu, the doctor of Kanto Pallet Town, representing the discovery of fairy-type Pokémon and the research of fairy-type special moves, as well as the development of super evolution. At the same time, I'm also the former champion of the Hone League. Zahu said. Ah. Mr. Zahu, you are so amazing. Jimmy said with a shocked face. Generally, but because I have too many things to do, I have to put the research aside for the time being. I hope to have a professional researcher to go around the world for me to investigate the ecology of Pokémon so that humans can learn more about Pokémon. Zahu said. This kind of person who is born lucky can best play his value if he is kept by his side. Investigate the ecology of Pokémon. That's fine. Jimmy said easily. Traveling around the world is no problem. Anyway, there is no definite goal at the moment. That's good. You can also help my teacher, Professor Oak. Zahu said. I will. Jimmy nodded. By the way, what was your original goal of coming here? Zahu said. I heard that there is a wild wilderness area ahead, so I want to try my luck. Jimmy said. It's also a wild wilderness area. Well, let's go and try it together to see how many Pokémon we can capture. You can also watch Kajero's gorgeous show. Zahu said. Gorgeous competition. Jimmy showed an interested expression. Zahu smiled and said nothing more. He continued to eat. After the meal, everyone set off together and headed for Mingzi Town. Then Kajero participated in the gorgeous competition, and Zahu was a spectator. The competition process was also simple. Because Zahu did not see any high-level masters, Kajero easily won a ribbon medal. Zahu could only say that the coordinator trainer who participated this time needed to change his career. Otherwise, if he did not study hard in the future, he would probably not have the opportunity to appear on the large-scale celebration. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 412 Wild Area. The breeze blew the green grass. On the hillside, several armored rhinos lay there lazily and took a nap. Not far away, several hunting swallowtail butterflies danced, scattering powder to promote the growth of flowers. In the woods next to them, many long-tailed monsters danced on the branches, their tails swaying, full of cuteness and agility. Zahu came here and saw the beautiful scenery around him. He showed a hint of enjoyment and said, "It's really a pleasant scenery. The children who grow up here must be good. Comrades, get ready to do it. Pa." As Zahu finished speaking, Jimmy's Pokeball flew out of his hand and fell on an armored rhinoceros. A red light flashed, and the Pokeball moved on the ground a few times, then stabilized and was successfully captured. "Boss, didn't you say that the probability of capturing a hunting ball is not high?" Kajiro said. "I'm talking about ordinary people. You are not ordinary people." Zahu said. "Can people who use ordinary red and white balls as master balls be ordinary people?" "Oh." Kajiro threw a Pokeball and hit a rhinoceros. After a bang, he succeeded in catching it. "So easy?" Meowth touched Zahu's hunting ball, then threw it and hit a rhinoceros. After a bang, he succeeded in catching it. "It's really easy. Boss, why don't you hit one too?" "Meow." Meowth said. "Really? Then I'll try it too." Zahu said. It was so easy to hit 1, 2, or 3 balls, and he really wanted to do it. Maybe the wild wilderness area of Sinnoh is more conscientious, and the hunting balls given are of high quality. Thinking of this, Zahu threw a Pokeball and hit a rhinoceros. The Pokeball flashed red, and then with a bang, the Pokeball exploded, and the rhinoceros lazily came out, and then staggered away. Zahu's face darkened. I know, I shouldn't have hit the ball. So, the boss is an ordinary person." "Meow." Meowth said. "Meow meow, your bonus for this month is gone," Zahu said with a gloomy face. "Who gave you the courage to finish me off?" "Meow meow. If you don't want to live anymore, just say one word and I'll kill you." "Ah, boss, you're taking revenge for personal grudges." Meow meow screamed. "You're right," Zahu said frankly, looking at Meow Meow with a smile. "What can you and I do?" Master Meow Meow changed gender in a second, rubbed Zahu's legs, and acted coquettishly. "Get lost." Zahu kicked Meow Meow away mercilessly. "If you were a female cat, it would be fine. I could occasionally fantasize about a cat-eared girl, but you're a fucking male cat. Act like a spoiled child." Master Meow Meow still came over coquettishly. It didn't want to really act coquettishly to make Zahu soften his heart. They have been together for so many years. How could it not understand Zahu? It just wanted to disgust Zahu simply. It believed that Zahu would definitely take back his previous decision because he disliked it. "If you don't take it back, that's fine. We can hurt each other. Zahu won't really fire it anyway. You two go catch Pokémon first. I'll talk to Meow Meow about life," Zahu said. Kajiro and Jimmy nodded obediently, took the hunting ball and left. Then Zahu stretched his muscles, picked up Meow Meow with one hand, and started talking about life. After a friendly discussion, Meow Meow lay on the ground weakly, only breathing in but not out. Of course, it successfully took back the exploited bonus. Zahu and Kona started to walk around the wild wilderness area. Although neither of them planned to capture Pokémon casually, what if they saw a compatible one? They walked and stopped for more than half an hour. Zahu and Kona didn't find any suitable Pokémon, but Hardscale Bayo lay on Zahu's shoulder and cried, saying that he was hungry. "Okay, stop for a while, and give you a meal." Zahu touched the heart-shaped scales on the top of Hardscale Bayo's head, and Hardscale Bayo opened his mouth wide, ready to eat. "You little greedy cat." Zahu flicked the little head of Zinlin Bayo. Zinlin Bayo cried out in dissatisfaction, as if to say that it was a dragon, not a cat, but a meow. "Anyway, it's just a glutton," Zahu scolded. Zinlin Bayo waved his hands to show his resistance. Okay, let the fairy elf play with you, Zahu said. Zinlinbeo nodded his head, expecting the fairy elf to appear. Zahu shook his head and smiled, and released the fairy elf in the Pokeball. When Zinlinbeo saw the fairy elf come out, he immediately jumped happily, and jumped onto the fairy elf. The fairy elf immediately played happily with Zinlinbeo. Give a dragon type Pokémon and find 3 fairy type babysitters. Only you can do this, Kona said. The 3 fairy types in our family are gentle, just like me, a good person. I'm born to be close to all kinds of Pokémon, Zahu said. Boasting, bragging. Kona rolled his eyes at Zahu with a smile. No way, I'm telling the truth. Zahu tried to prove his innocence. The two chatted, and forgot that this was a matter of catching in the wild wilderness area. The fairy elf also had a lot of fun with a hard-scale treasure. The 2 Pokémon ate food and played together. Perhaps the smell of food was too tempting. When the fairy elf and the heart-scale treasure were playing, an Eevee jumped out of the bushes and looked at the Pokémon food in the fairy elf's bowl with an interested expression. When the fairy elf saw the Eevee suddenly jumped out, his expression was stunned, and then a large piece of love was released in his 2 eyes. He decisively pushed his own and the heart-scale treasure's Pokémon food in front of the Eevee. The hard-scale treasure had a slightly stunned expression and looked at the fairy elf with dissatisfaction. Mine. The fairy elf completely ignored the call of the hard-scale treasure, smiled, and even approached the Eevee with some flattery. The wild Eevee looked at the kindness of the fairy elf, smiled happily, and naturally accepted the kindness of the fairy elf, ate a Pokémon food, and then ate it happily. Seeing Eevee eating, the fairy elf was even happier. Heartscale poked with its little hand, but the fairy elf ignored it at this time. Heartscale ran to Zahu with a wronged look on its face. Since the fairy elf ignored it, it could only look for its father. Zahu showed curiosity, turned around and picked up Heartscale, then looked at the fairy elf and Eevee on the side, and immediately said happily, "Fairy elf, is it spring? It should be. But the gender ratio of Eevee is 7 to 1. On average, 6 out of every 7 male Eevee are single. It's really not easy to meet a female Eevee," Kona said. Pokémon are not humans. The saying of husband and wife does not hold true for single situations. When the season 4 reproduction comes, Eevee will naturally gather together to make little Eevee. After that, the 2 Eevees will separate without any nostalgia or feelings. And Eevee is not limited to reproduction with the same species, it can also reproduce with other species, Zahu said. But now, it is obvious that the fairy elf likes this Eevee. Kona said, "If it's a female, why don't you go on stage and show your charm as the Ice Queen to take this Eevee and save my fairy elf?" Zahu said. "Take Eevee? That's not an easy thing," Kona said. "I believe you, and I don't believe that you, the Ice Queen, are not interested in ice elves. There is an ice stone in the city of Cutting Edge that can promote Eevee's evolution into ice elves. You know it without me telling you," Zahu said. "Ice elves?" Kona smiled and looked at Eevee with a charming smile. For her, the Ice Queen, ice elves are an attraction that cannot be ignored. Chapter 413 The family must be in good order. Little Eevee, be good. Kona held Eevee in her arms with a gentle expression on her face. It must be said that as a high-level trainer of the king level, she is also professional in coaxing Pokémon. Especially after hanging out with Zahu, the master of deception, for a long time. After a friendly exchange, a hunting ball was thrown over, and the Eevee was successfully captured. Eevee lay in Kona's broad chest with a comfortable expression of comfort and enjoyment. One of the reasons why it surrendered was that it found that it was really soft here, much more comfortable than the grass. Zahu was watching from the side and was very jealous. If he didn't know that it was a female, he would have killed it. However, Zahu only thought about these thoughts in his heart and didn't dare to show them, otherwise he would be the one who would be killed. There is no way. In the ranking of Kanto girls' favorite pet Pokémon, Eevee has been ranked in the top 3 for 20 consecutive years, and most of the time it is not the third. It is so cute. The only one who can compete with it head on, and has also been in the top 3 for 20 consecutive years is Pikachu. Even though Kona prefers ice, she also likes Eevee very much. Moreover, others don't know, but Zehu doesn't know, that this Ice Queen, under her cold and arrogant appearance, is actually a little princess who likes to collect dolls. There are so many dolls in the room, that Zehu can't count them. Boss, you have captured a lot of Pokémon. Kajiro's excited voice sounded from the side. Zehu looked over curiously, and saw Jimmy and Kajiro running over with excitement. One by one, you can't stop laughing. Have you captured all the Pokémon with 30 hunting balls? Zehu laughed. I didn't. I just lost 10 Pokéballs, and the Pokémon I captured were exactly the same, so I was too lazy to capture more. Jimmy successfully captured all 30 hunting balls. Kajiro said. Such a big harvest. Zehu laughed. Not bad. Jimmy touched his head shyly. The last one is Meowth. It won't be a real accident. Why hasn't it come out yet? Zehu looked strange. Just as he was wondering, he heard Meow Meow's voice after a while. Boss, give me a hunting ball, so I can capture the Pokémon. Zehu looked over curiously, and saw Meow Meow running towards him anxiously, followed by a confused cat-tailed cat. What's going on with you? Zehu said. Oh, this is a friend I met in the forest, cat-tailed cat. Boss, you can capture it. Meow Meow said. Friend? Are you sure it's not a lover? Zehu joked. Is today really the day for Pokémon to reproduce? Fairy elves meet true love, and Meow Meow also has a second spring. No, it's all Meow's cat-tailed cat, so cute, and wants to go with me. Boss, you have a quota for Pokéball, so just take it in. Take care of it. I'll take care of it. Meow Meow said. That's it. Okay, that's fine. Zehu said, throwing a hunting ball casually, hitting cat-tailed cat, and with a bang, it was captured directly without even struggling. Seeing that the capture was successful, Meowth excitedly picked up the Pokéball, and released Meowth with a very gentle smile. Oh my, this cat is really thinking about love. Zehu said. Meowth is old enough. Kona laughed. It has nothing to do with age. As early as, when we first met, it had already reached the point of wanting to find a wife. I don't know why it suddenly exploded today. But it's okay, it's not a bad thing. Meowth likes cat companions so much, how about I apply to the league and let Meowth become a registered trainer of the league? Zehu said. Let Pokémon become Pokémon trainers? Kona looked at Zehu with a strange face, and was shocked by his wonderful idea. What does it matter? Do you think Meowth looks like a normal Pokémon? Zehu said. Kona frowned and looked at Meowth. After looking at it for a long time, he still couldn't say against his will that this is a normal Pokémon. That's right, special cases require special treatment. Zehu shrugged and smiled. Okay, let's go. With his hands in his pockets, Zehu led a group of people out of the wild wilderness area. When they arrived at the door, they suddenly heard a hurried running sound, and the ground was shaking slightly. Zehu and others turned around in surprise, and saw several armored rhinos running over anxiously, and then rubbing against Jimmy and Kajiro. Boss, what's wrong with them? Kajiro was rubbed by 2 armored rhinos, and said in a panic. It should mean that they want to be subdued by you. But what did you two do to make these armored rhinos run out by themselves, and ask to be subdued? Zehu said in surprise. We didn't do anything. I just subdued 10 armored rhinos, and Jimmy subdued 15 armored rhinos, 14 Kintero, and 1 round land shark. Kajiro said. Round land shark? Zehu looked at Jimmy with an expression of seeing a ghost. Although there is a saying that there are quasi-god cubs in the wild wilderness area, you are too amazing. As soon as you came, you took the treasure of the town in the wild area. You are more of a protagonist than Zylzy. Boss, don't worry about the round land sharks. What should we do with these few? Zyajiro urged anxiously. You used 40 hunting balls to subdue 25 armored rhinos. You almost wiped out their entire tribe. How could the remaining ones not come to you? The family is not complete. You have captured your father, mother, grandparents, uncles, and aunts. It would be strange if these little ones didn't come to you. Zehu said unhappily. Is that so? Zyajiro said confusedly. Nonsense. The family should be complete. You can either catch a few and keep the big tribe together. Now that the tribe is almost finished, the remaining few are not good or bad. Catch them all and then put them in the Teachers Research Institute to compete with Zylzy's group of Kintero. Zahu said. Oh. Kojiro and Jimmy finally reacted and quickly took out their own Pokeballs to capture the few armored rhinos that were chasing them. Okay, go to the Pokémon Center in front and teleport all the Pokémon back to the Oak Research Institute. Only the Oak Research Institute can afford to raise these Pokémon, Zahu said. Kojiro and Jimmy nodded their heads to show that they understood. The person in charge of the wild wilderness area saw Zahu and his group leaving, and his expression was both desperate and a little relieved. These demon kings are finally gone. With tears in his eyes, he silently went online to the official website, uploaded the avatars of Zahu and his group, and put them on the blacklist. 4 people took away 40 Pokémon. There was also a quasi-god cub, the round land shark. They lost so much that they didn't even have the money to pay for their coffins. In normal times, 40 Pokémon may not be caught in half a year, let alone a round land shark. The capture probability of the hunting bull has been controlled to a very low level, and it has been tested by professionals. How come it has become the same as the master ball in the hands of these people? These crazy guys. The person in charge of the wilderness area of the wildlife park was leaning over the keyboard in misery. He definitely had no hope of getting a bonus this month, and his year-end bonus was probably going to be gone, and he might even be demoted. He had worked so hard for half a year, and now he was back to square one. A bunch of animals. Chapter 414, Sukune of Sinnoh. 30 rhinos, 14 Kintaro. There's another Satoshi among you? At the Pokémon Center, Professor Oak looked at Zahu and his group with a shocked expression. This is all thanks to Jimmy and Kojiro. Here, I solemnly recommend our institute's professional investigator, Jimmy, Zahu said. Professor Oak. Jimmy said politely. Professional investigator? Why do you want to hire one? Sakuragi even hired a kid to help him. Professor Oak said. I can't help it. I'm not in Pallet Town all year round. There's only one assistant next to the teacher. There's no one to help with many things. It's just right to let Jimmy help you. Trust me, Jimmy's ability is amazing. Zahu said. When have I ever not trusted your recommendation? Professor Oak smiled kindly. But, speaking of which, I also need your help with something. What is it? Zahu said. It's Xiaomao. When traveling recently, I met a group of shield ankylosaurs. I decided to stop traveling and study and take care of them. You know this kid. Although he knows a lot, he is still a little impulsive and reckless. He doesn't listen to me, his grandfather, and is always a little rebellious. He only believes in you, his elder brother. Help him when you pass by. Professor Oak said. Has Xiaomao started his research? He should learn from you, the teacher. After becoming a champion, he felt that being a trainer was meaningless, so he switched to research. Zahu joked. But, teacher, you don't have to worry so much. Xiaomao is different from Xiaozi. After all these years of traveling and growing up, Xiaomao has matured a lot. Unlike Xiaozi, who has been traveling for more than 3 years and has traveled to 3 regions, he is still like a child. With his personality, there is no big change now. When you were 13 years old, you had already completed the doctoral certification of the League. Professor Oak said. Teacher, you can't use me as a standard. That would be too much bullying for Xiaomao. Zahu laughed. But he's always targeting you. Professor Oak said with a smile. Okay, let's not talk about it. Anyway, you will definitely help when you pass by. But speaking of special investigators, I really have a topic that I want you to help me research. What is it? Zahu said. Amber City. It's in the Bayday Forest. If you want to challenge Bayday City, you must pass through there. Professor Oak said. Amber City is a legendary city built by the Queen Bee and the 3 bees? Zahu said. Yes, Pokémon have intelligence that is no less than that of humans, but they are often unplanned. There are very few examples of Pokémon building cities like this. Professor Oak said. I'll try, but I can't guarantee that I can find it. In addition, wild Pokémon often have a strong repulsion to humans. A castle like this is even more repulsive to foreign invaders. Send Jigglypuff over. Zahu said. Are you going to let Jigglypuff hypnotize the massacre again? That's fine, but we'll have to wait a while. Since you left, Jigglypuff has been singing too recklessly in the research institute, and it's too troublesome to clean up the graffiti, so I sent it to the Alola region and let Turtlehead deal with it. Professor Oak said. Turtlehead? Teacher, what's wrong with Jigglypuff that requires you to retaliate against it like this? Zahu laughed. Turtlehead is Jigglypuff's lifelong enemy. It is a Pokémon that sleeps from birth to death, and is naturally immune to Jigglypuff's sleep. If the two meet, Jigglypuff really won't know how he died. The temple is small, and it's hard to accommodate a big Buddha. Anyway, after you take it away, don't send it back. Professor Oak said. Okay. Zahu smiled bitterly, and hung up the call. Okay, let's go. We'll separate after we get to Amber City, Zahu said to Jimmy. Oh. Jimmy nodded obediently. He was shy and gentle, even to the point of being indecisive. He always went with the flow, and left everything to God. Of course, it was also possible that he thought God's arrangements were the best. After all, he was qualified to have such an idea. After talking to Professor Oak on the phone, Zahu and others rested in the Pokémon Center for one night, and set out to the Pathé Forest early the next morning, to find the legendary Amber City. After walking for a whole morning, they had not yet reached the Pathé Forest, let alone found the Amber City. They took a break by the stream, and prepared food for humans and Pokémon. A group of Pokémon appeared collectively. Parasaurolophus and some obedient ones took the initiative to help, and some playful ones were playing. As for the old men, like Dragonite and Banjira, they lay there lazily, motionless, waiting for the Pokémon food to be delivered to their mouths. Entei was also a member of the old man party, lying comfortably by the stream, his soft mane shining in the sun, with a look of enjoyment on his face. Happiness is contagious, and so is humor. After being in Zahu's funny Pokémon group for a long time, especially with Meowth, Snorlax and the others, Entei's status as a divine beast has almost dropped. He closed his eyes, and planned to take a comfortable nap. Entei suddenly felt a familiar breath in the lake in front of him. His eyes suddenly turned sharp. He stood up, arched his back, and showed an attacking posture. What's wrong with Entei? Zahu, who was cooking, came over and said. There are not many people who can make Entei so alert. There is a breath similar to mine nearby. Entei replied. Similar breath? Zahu frowned and wondered in his heart, and then he saw a white mist rising from the lake. A pair of ice blue eyes appeared in the mist, and a misty figure loomed. Roar! Entei roared like thunder, rolling out, shaking away all the white mist on the lake, and a figure of Suicune appeared on the lake. We are all three sacred beasts, and I'm still a senior. Why are you pretending? Roar! Suicune on the lake seemed very dissatisfied with Entei's action of roaring to disperse the mist around it, and also roared at Entei in protest. This is the territory of the three holy beasts of Sinnoh. You are an outsider. Who asked you to come? Roar! Entei roared more domineeringly and majestically, took a step forward, and looked at Suicune opposite him aggressively. I'm following the orders of my immediate superior, the King of Phoenix. You have no right to control what I do. Roar! The white streamers on Suicune's body danced lightly, and the water rippled where he stood, and a sacred majesty spread out. Suicune is a symbol of holiness and the most peace-loving among the three holy beasts. But Pokémon are always Pokémon. The stronger they are, the stronger their sense of territory. What does it mean that Entei from Johto came to Sinnoh? Roar! Entei roared back, his mane shaking, flames burning, and the soft soil under his feet dried up in an instant. I'm the first generation of the three holy beasts, your predecessor. When I was created, you didn't even know where I was. Do you dare to jump now? Chapter 415, Suicune vs. Entei. Roar! Entei roared, launching the first attack, and sprayed a blazing flame at Suicune. Suicune's streamers danced, and the headdress on his head emitted a dazzling colorful light, covering the flame. Entei didn't care, and shot a flame straight through Suicune's colorful light, hitting Suicune's head, and shooting Suicune into the water in one breath. Seeing this, Zahu couldn't help but shake his head and sneer. Entei used the fire-type ultimate move of Jet Flame, while Suicune, a water-type Pokémon, did not use the water-type ultimate move, but used the ice-type Aurora Beam to confront head-on. The ultimate move was weaker in attributes, and the power was also weaker, so it was impossible for him not to lose. Seeing that he sprayed Sukyun into the water with a breath of flame, Entei showed a hint of pride on his face. Quite a bit of pride, that the old is still the wise. However, this pride did not last long. The originally peaceful lake suddenly boiled violently like boiling water. Then Sukyun jumped out from the water, and a huge wave several meters high rushed towards Zahu and others. Sukyun did not intend to attack Zahu and others, but the power of using a trick like surfing was great, so it naturally had a large range. Entei did not know, but seeing that Sukyun even affected Zahu and his group, he became even more angry, and spurted out a hot and strong column of flames, piercing through the waves and splashing water. Entei was feeling proud, but saw a black shadow falling from the sky. It was Sukyun who took this opportunity to close the distance with Entei, pounced on him quickly, and slapped Entei's head with one claw. Entei was angry, and the flames on his body burned, spreading all over his body, turning into a red light, and rushed into Sukyun, and rushed into the water again, slapping with his sharp claws, engaging in a fierce close combat. "Aren't you going to give orders?" Kona nudged Zahu with his elbow. "Why should I give orders when the three sacred beasts are fighting each other? Even if he wins, Entei won't be happy." Zahu shrugged slightly and said, "Besides, Entei was trained by me, and is the first created by Ho-Oh. Even without my orders, he will definitely beat Sukyun. Otherwise, it means that my training is a failure. But rushing into the water will be bad for Entei," Kona said. "Who can be rational if he is addicted to fighting? Besides, the water in this small lake can't affect Entei's performance," Zahu said, but he was full of helplessness in his heart. Silly lion, he didn't use the tactics I taught him at all. Watching the battle between Sukyun and Entei, Zahu suddenly heard footsteps coming from the side, and a familiar voice. "Brother Xiaozi, Xiao's friend is in front." "What friend is in front?" The voice was getting closer and closer. Zahu turned around, and sure enough, a boy with a Pikachu hat on his shoulder appeared in front of him, followed by a mini version of Joey. "Brother, why are you here?" Xiaozi looked at Zahu in surprise. "I should ask you this question." Zahu looked at Xiaozi with interest. "Really, where there is a mythical beast, there must be you. Because Xiao said to bring me to meet a good friend." Xiaozi explained, and then seemed to realize that Zahu didn't know who Xiao was, and hurriedly introduced the little girl next to him to Zahu. "Brother, she is the daughter of Miss Joey here, Xiao." "Hello, brother Xiaozi's brother, I'm Francois Joey of Xiao," the little girl said cutely. "Hello, my name is Zahu." Zahu smiled, and he could tell the identity of the little girl at a glance. It's not that Zahu has good eyesight, but with this appearance, if she is not from the Joey family, what else can she be? The genes of the Joey family are also a mysterious existence in the Pokémon world. All the people in the Joey family can only give birth to girls, and the girls born are exactly the same as them. Zahu really doesn't know the specific reason, because there are very few forces that dare to go against the Joey family, which monopolizes the Pokémon treatment industry, and there are even fewer people who would study this kind of secret that will fight Miss Joey to death once it is studied out, in order to satisfy their curiosity, so this secret may always be a secret. However, this is also the first time Zahu has met little Joey. Usually, he has met adults, so he can't help but be interested. Of course, Zahu is more interested in Joey's father. He is a tough guy who dares to marry Joey. Aren't you afraid of not being able to distinguish between your wife, mother-in-law, elder sister-in-law, and younger sister-in-law? Or is it like Xiao Gang, with a blind eye? Brother Zahu, is that Entei yours? Can you stop it from fighting with Sukyun? Sukyun is Xiao's best friend. Xiao said. I can't do this either. Brother, this Entei came from Johto, and Sukyun is a little repulsive. Now we have to fight, and we will stop after the fight. But don't worry, Sukyun will be fine. Zahu said. Oh. Then Sukyun, come on. Xiao cheered Sukyun in a crisp voice. Hearing Xiao's voice, Sukyun's expression became more focused. He couldn't lose face in front of one of his few friends. However, although Sukyun was agile, he was no match for Entei in close combat. Sukyun's original form was a wolf, and Entei's original form was a lion. In close combat, how many wolves can be the opponent of lions? After being hit by Entei several times in a row, Sukyun's mind gradually became clear. He was no match for Entei in close combat. Fighting Entei in close combat completely gave up the advantage of his attributes. At that moment, he jumped lightly, distanced himself from Entei, and then opened his mouth and sprayed a powerful water cannon. Yandee's body was burning with flames, and he quickly ran to the left to avoid Sukyun's water cannon. Although there was no order from Zahu, it had become his instinct to use the energy accumulating flame attack to attack while increasing his speed. He suddenly jumped to avoid Sukyun's water cannon attack, and then took advantage of the gap when Sukyun's old strength was exhausted and new strength had not yet been generated, and a ball of hot and strong flames burst out from his body again. Compared with the previous flames, it had a more sacred meaning, as if it contained the rhythm of life. The intense burning contained terrifying power, as if it wanted to burn everything. He rushed towards Sukyun without hesitation. Sukyun was unable to dodge and was hit directly. He was knocked to the other side of the lake and fell to the ground. He tried to struggle to stand up several times, but he could not bear the damage of the sacred fire on his body, and his struggle to stand up ended in failure. The victorious Yandee roared at Sukyun in a demonstrative manner, and then proudly walked towards Zahu and others, like a triumphant general. Xiaowu, who was watching anxiously, didn't care about the water in the lake, and ran to Sukyun, and said with concern, "Sukyun, are you okay? Does it hurt? Come with me to the Pokémon Center, and mom will definitely heal you." However, Sukyun didn't accept Xiaowu's kindness, and cried out to show that he was fine, and then lay there. The three sacred beasts don't like to be too close to humans. Only a few humans can get their trust. This is true in any region. Moreover, Sukyun's injury is indeed not as serious as it looks. The sacred fire, if it attacks other Pokémon, is extremely powerful, but Sukyun is not an ordinary Pokémon. It is also a Pokémon resurrected by the Phoenix King with the sacred fire. It has a natural resistance to the sacred fire, and the water system is fire resistant, so it looks serious, but it can rest here for a while, then jump into the water, and rest for 1 or 2 nights, and it will be almost recovered. Chapter 416 Xiaozi is frustrated twice. Wind chime, heal Sukyun, Zahu said. Wind chime floated towards Sukyun cheerfully. The sound of the bell was melodious, and the gentle power moisturized Sukyun's whole body. Sukyun's injuries were relieved, and a power grew in his body. He slowly stood up and thanked Wind chime. Wind chime rang happily to show that it received it, and then floated back to Kajiro. Sukyun stood up and walked towards Zahu and said, "Who are you? Why did you become the trainer of Entei? And why do you have rainbow feathers on your body?" "Because the King of Phoenix thought I was a good person and a good trainer, he entrusted Entei to me," Zahu said. "Entrust? What happened? Did the king change his mind?" Sukyun asked curiously. "Yes, because of the behavior of some people, the King of Phoenix has decided to completely abandon Johto as a habitat, but because there are excellent good people and trainers like me, and Xiaozi among humans, it has not completely abandoned humans. Instead, it entrusted Xiaozi and me to take Entei and Sukyun to travel around various regions, observe the lives of humans, and finally decide where to live," Zahu said. "I see, the king has finally changed his mind," Sukyun said. "Right, so, in a sense, you can choose your own life." Zahu said that, if the King of Phoenix had decided where to live, he would not give Sukyun much freedom. "I have no right to leave before the king arrives to convey his will. And life here is also very good," Sukyun said. "You have friends, so do you like it?" Zahu said. Sukyun glanced at Zahu and ignored him. Xiao was very happy to hear that, and hugged Sukyun's neck excitedly and said, "I knew that Sukyun liked Xiao, and Xiao also liked Sukyun the most." Sukyun still had an arrogant expression, but he did not reject Xiao's intimacy at all. On the contrary, he seemed to adapt to it, and obviously liked Xiao very much. Zahu smiled slightly, stepped back obediently, and made enough space for Xiao and Sukyun to be intimate. The capture plan failed. Kona said with a smile. "It can't be said to be a failure. After all, I wanted to capture you in the first place. Now I can only say that you failed to capture," Zahu said. "You don't want to complete the 3 sacred beasts," Kona teased. "You're saying that I have a collecting habit. I just go with the flow, okay," Zahu said. "Who took a long detour for Lugia?" Kona mercilessly poked Zahu's dark history. That was me before. Everything in the world is changing all the time. The me of yesterday and the me of today are no longer the same. Zahu said. You are using kinematic sophistry. Kona said. A perverse logic is also a logic. Zahu smiled. The original self is the same, but people are different under different conditions. At that time, Zahu only had the 3 sacred birds, and none of the top sacred beasts. Now the top sacred beasts are the original Dragonite, the original Leaf King, the super evolved Articuno, Lugia, and Mewtwo that can be borrowed. In addition, the Latius brothers and sisters who are playing happily in the Oak Research Institute now will definitely not be weak in combat power, if they are well trained. So, now Zahu is also a person of style. Let's not talk about race, but about getting along. Anyway, except for the most powerful first level gods, the remaining Pokémon will not make much difference to Zahu. It is impossible for Zahu to capture all Pokémon. He is a trainer, not a breeder. He can't train them, even if he raises them. But you, a master of both water and ice, are not moved when you see Suicune? Zahu said. Of course I'm moved, but hasn't this child chosen the most suitable trainer for himself? Kona said. Yes, he chose the most suitable trainer for himself. Zahu smiled at Xiao who was holding Suicune. The 2 major families of Joai and Junsha respectively control the 2 lifelines of the Alliance's Pokémon treatment and public security, and their status is very important. In terms of the impression given to people, Joai is gentle and Junsha is strict, so many people think that the Junsha family is stronger than the Joai family, but in fact, the Joai family is slightly stronger than the Junsha family, just because Joai has a natural affinity for Pokémon. Kona said. Yes, the natural affinity makes Pokémon choose to get close to them, especially when it comes to legendary beasts, which makes them even more terrifying. So even the gym supervision peer is given to Joai to be in charge. Zahu said. Peer is responsible for the supervision of gyms, and considers many aspects to decide whether the gym is qualified to be established and continue to exist. To serve as a peer prosecutor, one must be strong enough, and this prosecutor is often Joai. Just from the Pokémon shown by previous peer prosecutors, it is very clear that they are strong. Latius, Dragonite, Cresselia, Articuno. And if Xiao in front of him can really become the trainer of Suicune, it is estimated that she will be cultivated by the Joai family. By the way, Xiaozi, have you encountered anything special recently? Zahu turned and looked at Xiaozi and said. Yes, I lost the competition with others, and I lost to 2 people. Xiaozi said with a frustrated face. Lost to 2 people? You lost with Infernape and Squirtle? Zahu said. It is normal to lose with these newly captured Pokémon. No, I use Lucario, Suicune, and Charizard. Xiaozi said. If he had used Flame, he would have lost. Although he was frustrated, he knew it was not a big deal. But he lost his main force. Who did you lose to? Which of the 4 Heavenly Kings? Zahu said in surprise. With Xiaozi's 3 main forces, the new Heavenly Kings might not be able to defeat them in a 3-on-3 match. None of them. The first time was with Alan. I used Lucario, and he used Mega Evolved Charizard. In a 1-on-1 match, Lucario fell first. Xiaozi said. Alan? That counts. His Charizard is already a true Heavenly King level main force. Plus the attribute Restraint, it's evenly matched with your Lucario. You often have water in your brain, so it's not too surprising to lose once. Zahu said. How can there be water in your brain? Xiaozi said aggrievedly. I see that. If you drain all the water out of your brain will be empty. Okay, tell me the next thing. Who did you lose to the second time? Zahu said unhappily. Dacto. Xiaozi said. Dacto? Which one? Zahu frowned slightly. No matter where Xiaozi was, he would always meet 1 or 2 rivals, and he was often suppressed to death by his rivals in the early stage, crushing him for more than 100 episodes, and then began to suppress him. Originally, the Sinnoh continent was Shinji, but because of Zahu, Shinji had known Xiaozi for a long time, and recognized Xiaozi's strength, so Zahu originally thought that there should be no one. But now it seems that God still likes Xiaozi as the protagonist, and has no intention of changing the protagonist, and still has to use the routine. But who is this passerby who is Dacto? Brother, you don't know him. Zyozzy was surprised. Over the years, Zahu knew everyone he met, almost making him think that Zahu knew everyone. Now Zahu didn't know him, but he was surprised. There are so many people I don't know. Stop talking nonsense. Just speak directly. Just now you said you use 3, which means you are 3 against 3 with him? Zahu said. Oh, Doko, a trainer who is good at using Darkrai. His Darkrai is very strong. When Shinji and I were challenging Steel City, we met him. He used a Darkrai to defeat Mr. Hayata's 3 Pokémon. Zyozzy said. A trainer who used Darkrai. Zahu nodded and understood who it was. It should be the Divine Beast man who made Zyozzy suffer in the Sheneo Lily of the Valley tournament. However, Zahu forgot his real name, because he called Divine Beast man every day. If it was him, it was reasonable for Zyozzy to lose. Yes, his Darkrai is really strong. I used Charizard as the first one, but before it could complete the super evolution, Darko created a black hole, which made Charizard fall asleep, and then ate its dreams, and Charizard lost its combat ability. Zyozzy said. Black hole sleep, plus Dream Eater. I used this routine more than once during the Quartz conference. Didn't you prepare for it? Zahu said angrily. Although Darkray's combination of moves is indeed hard to defend against, after all, Darkrai is really fast, but you just lost like this. You lost too carelessly. Even if Charizard didn't super evolve, it would almost reach the king level. Super evolution would definitely be the king level, but it died like this. Isn't Darkrai a Jenga? I haven't seen it, and its speed is too fast. Zyozzy defended aggrievedly. Don't act pitiful. What's next? Don't tell me that you were killed 3 by Darkrai. Zahu said. No, I scanned the Pokémon and found that Darkrai is a Darkrai. I then sent Lucario to play. I injured Darkrai with the wave missile first, and then Darkrai used the black hole hypnosis, but didn't hypnotize me and Lucario at the same time, so I won. Then Darko sent out Alacius, and it died together with Lucario. Zyozzy said. What about the third one? Zahu said with a bright expression. In the animation, that guy only sent out 2 in total. Zahu was really curious about what the third one was. Shami, or the sky form of Shami. Zyozzy said. Shami, another mythical beast. You lose. Zahu said. Yeah. Darko Sky Shami is also very strong. It took Suicun's freezing ray head on, and was able to use Leaf Storm to defeat Suicun. Zyozzy said. Changed to sky form, the attributes became grass and flying, which were restrained by ice 4 times. It could defeat Suicun with Leaf Storm after taking Suicun's freeze beam. What form was that Sky Shami in? Don't tell me it was safe and sound. Zahu frowned. No, it was almost down too. After the fight, it lay on the ground, but I was the loser, and that Shami later healed itself and recovered quickly. Zyozzy said. Really? Zahu nodded, thinking secretly, if that's the case, Darkrai and Latius hard power should be relatively weak in the king class. As long as Darkrai avoids the black hole, the danger will be greatly reduced. If a battle breaks out, in my hand, a super evolved salamander should be able to defeat 2. Then Shami took the freeze beam, which is not a weak level in the king class. If only quasi-god Pokémon are used, there is really no opponent, but it is not beyond the level of the king. I just don't know what the remaining 3 are like. Zahu pondered for a moment, then laughed out loud. It was interesting not to know, and it would put more pressure on himself. Among the remaining 3, it would be better if there was a first level god. Otherwise, even if they were all like Zemi, they would not be enough for the fast dragon to sweep away. Kona, who was standing next to him, felt the change in Zahu, and could not help but look sideways, with a smile in his eyes. It has been a long time since I saw Zahu so high-spirited. Does this Jackdo really have good strength? Chapter 417 Emi Forest. Next to the lake, Zahu met Suicun and reunited with Zyozzy. Zahu chose to temporarily walk with Zyozzy. After all, with Zyozzy, the chance of success in finding the legendary Amber City is at least doubled. With Jimmy's amazing luck, Zahu felt that he could win without any effort. Zyozzy and his group naturally would not refuse Zahu's request to go with them. After saying goodbye to Joey's family, they finally arrived at the Bayday Forest after a walk. As long as they pass through this forest, they can reach Bayday City and then challenge the Bayday Gym. Of course, before that, they have to find the Amber City first. At noon, Zahu and his group prepared to cook by the stream, and Zahu also began to train Zyozzy. This is what Zahu has been doing these days. Although Dakoto sent out 3 beasts, from the description, Zyozzy could have won, but he lost in the end. So, in Zahu's opinion, this guy's too lazy. He needs love education. Then, the old ones, Pikachu, Lucario, Suicune, and Charizard, fought against Dragonite, Togekiss, Entei, and Lugia, while the 4 new ones, Infernape, Squirtle, Nook, and Scappy, fought against Hardscale, Parasaurolophus, Metallo, and Steelix. The result, needless to say, was that Zahu beat them all. Even Suicune, whose strength was close to Entei, was defeated by Zahu because of Zyozzy's command problem. Zahu had a very comfortable life these days. After all, Zyozzy's current strength was very good. It was difficult to abuse him, and it also felt better. In addition, Zahu would occasionally let Bangara and Salamander fight against the 4 old members in Zyozzy's hands, which was also improving their strength. It was also the only place where Zyozzy could regain some confidence. Every time Lucario was suppressed by Togekiss, he would come to Bangara to fight back. Although Bangara's strength gradually increased with the passage of time, it was not so easy for Zyozzy to vent, but in a short period of time, Zyozzy could still relieve the pressure of being abused. This time was no exception. However, just after releasing the long-tailed monster hand, the long-tailed monster hand seemed to be called by something, and regardless of Zyozzy's shouting, it quickly ran into the depths of the woods. Long-tailed monster hand. Zyozzy was anxious and hurriedly followed. Seeing this, Zahu and others had to put down the things on hand and ran after it. The long-tailed monster hand seemed to be unable to hear at all and kept running forward. Soon, it arrived in front of a tree. There was a place on the tree that was smeared with honey by someone, and a group of insect type and grass type Pokémon were lying on it and licking it. The long-tailed monster hand smelled the scent of the sweet honey and quickly jumped up and then snatched food from this group of Pokémon. Zahu and others arrived quickly, and when they saw this scene, they all smiled with a helpless smile. This is sweet. Zahu looked at the honey on the tree and made a judgment. Sweetness, with its extremely tempting aroma and wonderful taste, has a strong attraction to insect type and greedy Pokémon. Just like now, the group of Pokémon that are eating crazily are intoxicated in the sweetness and do not notice the arrival of Zahu and others. Zahu estimated that, even if a Pokéball is thrown over at this time, these Pokémon will be captured in a daze. However, these Pokémon are not very powerful, so Zahu is naturally not interested. However, this layer of honey is obviously not natural. Who did it? Just as Zahu was thinking, a knot grass wrapped in leaves suddenly jumped out of the grass. This little guy was obviously attracted by the sweetness. After seeing this tree, that was not very tall but extremely sweet, his eyes lit up. Is this a knot grass? Xiaoguang asked curiously. Yes, it is also a magical creature, Zahu said. GKO's body is a caterpillar-like insect Pokémon, but its body is grey-black, and it has a circle of retractable elastic tentacles on its head. It is usually used for various things. It is ordinary and nothing special here, but GKO is a Pokémon that likes to make clothes for itself. It is absolutely rare. Although no one knows the exact reason, some people speculate that it is to keep warm, but it was quickly overturned because even in some hot areas, GKO still has to wear clothes. Often, if the clothes fall off, they will pick them up immediately. In addition, depending on the location, different materials will be chosen to make clothes. For example, now in the forest, its outer material is leaves. If it is a rocky desert area, it will be sand or rock. If it is in the city, it is really outrageous to make clothes with garbage. What habits are there? Zahu doesn't know, but for Zahu, this has at least one advantage. That is, Zyuxia won't scream. Zyuxia's passive power is to lift everything that looks like it can be lifted, regardless of density and weight. Misty's passive fear of insects means she is afraid of anything that looks like an insect, regardless of whether it is related to an insect or not. If it doesn't look like an insect, it has nothing to do with insect attributes, like Xiaogang's Fortis. Now that GKOA is wearing clothes, she still doesn't look like an insect. When GKOA saw the sweetness, she couldn't control herself. She used her tentacles to tie a branch and swung her body over there, wanting to eat the sweetness. However, Zyos's long-tailed monster was eating honey happily, twisting its butt, and with a flick of its tail, it directly knocked GKOA to the ground, and the clothes on her body that were stuck with leaves also fell to the ground. GKOA was immediately panicked, like a big girl, and quickly stuck the leaves on the ground one by one. In addition to Zyosha, who was afraid of insect-type Pokémon and couldn't control herself, Zahu and others were amused by GKOA's behavior. At this moment, a pink Jigglypuff and a tall woman with dark green hair suddenly jumped out of the bushes. The woman shouted to Jigglypuff, "Jigglypuff, use charm." Lucky Jigglypuff shouted optimistically and used charm on GKOA. GKOA was immediately conquered and felt dizzy, as if she had fallen in love. Seeing this, the woman who was commanding Jigglypuff smiled happily, put her hands together, and prayed happily. Great, it can be attracted by Jigglypuff's charm, which means it is a male GKOA. What a wonderful encounter. I have been waiting for a long time. Under the sunset, at sunset, it is a destined encounter with a male GKOA. Fate. Now is not the time to sigh. Let's fight quickly and conquer it. Looking at the woman who only knew how to laugh foolishly but not how to act, Zyadaguan couldn't help but remind her. Thanks for the reminder, kind trainer. The woman responded, and then said to Channel, continuous slaps. Channel, who received the order, immediately began to attack Knotgrass. Then Knotgrass fought back, and then Channel attacked again. Finally, after 1 or 2 rounds, the woman successfully subdued Knotgrass. The process was so simple. After all, Knotgrass was a first level bug type Pokémon, and its combat power was only slightly better than that of a small bug like Caterpillar. It was a member of the 5 weaklings. Not directly throwing the ball was already a great honor. Chapter 418 Terrible Sweetness. Hello, my name is Yami, and I'm an explorer. The green-haired woman introduced herself. Then, Zahu didn't even need to represent him. Maogang rushed over and shouted, "Beautiful lady, hello, my name is Zyadagang." Unfortunately, the woman named Yami dodged Maogang's hand with a move and said, "I'm sorry, my late grandfather once said that you can't shake hands with men on the day you capture a bug-type Pokémon." Maogang looked sad. Mao silently retracted his hand. At this time, a group of Spearows flew across the sky. Yami said with joy, "When you meet a western Spearow, good luck will come to you." What Grandpa said really came true, and today I really captured the long-awaited male GKOA. Hello, adventurer Ms. Yami, I'm Zahu. Zahu also introduced herself. Because of Zyadagang's previous experience, he naturally didn't extend his hand, but he was also quite interested in Yami, or more accurately, interested in the identity of an adventurer. Every trainer who goes out for a trip can be said to be an adventurer. After all, these trainers are young and fearless. They go wherever there is a reward, and the place with a reward is often a high risk. But adventure is only a part of the journey after all, and those who call themselves adventurers are adventurers for the purpose of treasure hunting, and they pursue treasures throughout the journey. Yami seems to like Zahu's title of adventurer very much, and her favorability towards Zahu has increased all of a sudden, which makes Zyadagang cry silently. Meeting is fate. Although Yami is an adventurer, she doesn't seem to have much guard. She happily sat down with Zahu and his group, visited the tablecloth, and then had lunch together. During the meal, Yami frankly stated her purpose, which was to find terrible sweetness, without any guard against others. After hearing this, Zahu felt helpless for the reckless behavior of this adventurer lady who was not at all guarded, and on the other hand, he also felt wise for his decision to take Zyossi and others with him. Terrible sweetness is a kind of honey that is tens of thousands times more effective than sweetness. It is currently known that it can only be found in the Amber City. So, when he met Yami, he was just dozing off, and she came to him. My grandfather was once a great adventurer. He found countless treasures, but the terrible sweetness was the only one he didn't find. So I inherited his will, and prepared to set off. After finding the map left by my grandfather, Yami took out a worn-out map from a small bag on the side and generously handed it to Zahu and a group of people to look at in turn. Zahu frowned at the slightly worn out map, then looked at Yami and said, "Excuse me, Miss Yami, are you a new adventurer?" If she was an adventurer who had been traveling for a long time and was experienced, she would never show such a valuable map to others. A professional adventurer may be gentle and generous at ordinary times, but when it comes to adventure treasures, she must be cautious everywhere. But this Miss Yami is not like that at all. "Yes, this is my first adventure, because the terrible sweetness is something that my grandfather has never found, so I made it my first goal," Yami said cheerfully. "Really?" Zahu showed an awkward but polite smile on his face. "Your grandfather, a senior professional adventurer, didn't find it, but you, a beginner, are trying to find it. It seems that it's not us who are lucky, but you who are lucky. Looking for terrible honey sounds very interesting. Miss Yami, can we help?" Zyozzy said excitedly. "Sure, thank you," Yami said. "The terrible honey is in the legendary Amber City. Miss Yami, you want to find it with this map, which is very difficult," Zahu said directly. "That's why I captured the knot grass and let the male knot grass evolve into a gentleman moth, so that I can use the gentleman moth's strong sense of smell to find your terrible sweetness," Yami said. "Let the gentleman moth find it?" Zahu showed an undeniable smile. Although the gentleman moth does have the ability to find honey, it does not have a particularly strong ability to distinguish. Wherever it smells, it will go there. Can it really find it? But since they just met, Zahu was embarrassed to discourage him, and just said, "If you want a gentleman moth, why don't you catch a gentleman moth directly?" Although insect type Pokémon evolve faster, it is not easy to make Pokémon evolve. The knot grass is quite special. Different genders will have different evolutions. Females will evolve into knot grass ladies, and males will evolve into gentleman moths. So before catching them, you have to determine their gender first. My deceased grandfather said that all unknowns start from knot grass, so I have captured various forms of knot grass, but because they are all female, they can only evolve into knot grass ladies in the end. Fortunately, I have met this one now, and I will definitely make it evolve into a gentleman moth," Yami said. "Your grandfather must be a great man," Zahu said speechlessly. "He chose the difficult one instead of the simple one. I don't know if he is causing trouble for himself or if you, his granddaughter, have misunderstood." "Yes, my grandfather is the greatest man in the world," Yami said with admiration. "So, Miss Yami, you still want to evolve your knot grass, right?" Zahu said. "Well, now that lunch is over, it's time to train the knot grass." Yami stood up, then released the knot grass, and prepared for training. "It's easy to make Pokémon evolve. We have experts in this area. Zyozzy, you go ahead," Zahu said. Zyozzy should be the most experienced in helping people evolve. Zahu was deeply impressed by the time in Kanto, when a girl asked Zyozzy to help her Paras evolve into Pirastal. Then Zyozzy and his group started to play a fake game. Zahu didn't remember many plots, including the person who asked him to evolve. Zahu also forgot, but Zahu was impressed by Pikachu's move 10 volts. "Okay, no problem," Zyozzy said confidently. He was also experienced in this area. "Grass Squirtle, come out." Zyozzy threw the Pokeball and Grass Squirtle quickly appeared. Grass Squirtle, a Pokémon with grass attributes, is very beneficial to Grasshopper. "Grasshopper, let's go," Yami encouraged. Grasshopper nodded firmly, and then used Impact at the same time with Grass Squirtle. Then, the two Pokémon collided violently, and Grasshopper fell down in seconds. "Doesn't Grasshopper have an advantage in attributes?" Xiaoguang said in surprise. "Attributes don't play a big role in front of strength. This knotweed seems very weak," Xiaoguang said. "So work hard," Zahu encouraged. If it wasn't for the fact that the knotweed was too weak and Zahu didn't know how to let it go, how could Zyozzy and the others perform? As soon as Zahu finished speaking, the knotweed attacked again, and then with a bang, the grass turtle kicked casually, and the knotweed fell down gorgeously. "Zyozzy, change one." The grass turtle didn't strike lightly, and the water release technique was not good, Zahu said. "Ah. Then the grass turtle, you come back." Zyozzy took back the grass turtle, and then said to the Pikachu next to him, "Pikachu, you come." Pikachu patted his chest, and took on a lot of responsibilities, as if it was all a small matter. Zahu glanced at Pikachu like this, and his mouth twitched. In terms of letting water and acting, there is really no Pokémon better than you. Sure enough, Pikachu soon staged a gorgeous water release game, and was praised by Xiaoguang for his good acting skills. However, even so, the Knotweed still did not evolve. So Xiaozi and his group still need to work hard. Of course, it was only Xiaozi and his group who worked hard. Zahu took care of the heart scale leisurely, and did not worry about this matter at all. Pikachu is a professional in fake matches, and Kajiro and Meowth are also professionals in helping people evolve. Together, they are invincible. The development of things did not go beyond Zahu's expectations. In the evening, the Knotweed evolved into a gentleman moth. But because it was late, everyone planned to rest for a night and set off the next day. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 419, Battle of Grass Seedlings and Turtle. Gentleman Moth, fly over there, the terrible sweetness should be there. The next morning, everyone set out again. The gentleman moth flew out, and Yami chased after it excitedly. Xiaozi and his group followed closely behind. Zahu looked helpless and asked Kona, how many times has this happened? Who knows? Kona also said helplessly. This was not the first time that the gentleman moth smelled the fragrance and flew out, but the previous few times, no one knew where it flew to. Now it is unlikely to find it. The two followed slowly, just barely keeping up. After walking for a while, they vaguely smelled a stinky smell and quickly retreated. This smell is from the stinky flower, Kona said. Although it was a question, his tone was affirmative. Yes, although the stinky flower emits a foul smell, it also produces honey, and is the main source of perfume in Rainbow City. The reason why this gentleman moth came here is probably because of this, Zahu said, covering his nose. So, do you still want to look for it? Kona said. Let's look for another week. If we can find it, that's the best. If not, forget it, Zahu said. Alright. Kona nodded and looked at Xiaozi and the others. He found that there was suddenly a girl he didn't know. He was surprised and said, who is that girl? She looks familiar. Is she going to have a duel with Xiaozi? It seems to be the gym trainer Nazuna from Bayday City. She is good at grass type Pokémon, and the strongest Pokémon seems to be a Roserade. Zahu said. She is good at grass type Pokémon, so she is fighting against Xiaozi's Squirtle. Kona said. I guess so. Zahu nodded and walked over to watch the game. Xiaozi and Nazuna on the opposite side were completely immersed in the battle, and didn't pay much attention to the arrival of Zahu and Kona. Squirtle, use impact. Xiaozi was still the preemptive attack type. Squirtle ran quickly, and attacked the Squirtle on the opposite side. However, Nazuna's Squirtle easily avoided Xiaozi's Squirtle's attack, moving as fast as the wind and agile beyond belief. Zahu was stunned and asked, is this turtle a turtle or a rabbit? It's a rabbit, Kona said uncertainly. The speed of this turtle is faster than the average agile Pokémon. Xiaozi's long-tailed monster, a monkey, may not be faster than it. It's too fast, boss. Xiaozi may lose, Kajiro said. The probability of losing is more than 50%. The only martial arts in the world that cannot be defeated is speed. If the speed is fast enough and the action is agile enough, it can make up for many shortcomings and become the key to victory. This is also the reason why Xiaozi wins again and again with unevolved Pokémon. Being small has its advantages. But at the same time, when facing an opponent faster than himself, Xiaozi will be in trouble. Once he gets anxious and loses his sense of proportion, Xiaozi will lose, Zahu said. So, speed is the most important thing, Kajiro said. Speed, strength, and bond are all important. None of them is the best. It's just that everyone has their own fighting style, and Pokémon also have their own fighting methods, so different things are emphasized in different situations. But in the final analysis, there is only suitability, not good or bad. This is also what you need to understand to form your own fighting style, Zahu said. Oh. Xiaoguang and his group nodded silently while secretly thinking about their own fighting styles. They watched the battle between Xiaozi and Kaizhang's turtle. Turtle, continue to use the impact. Xiaozi kept issuing orders, and he also heard the conversations of Zhou and several others. It was because he heard it that he had to prove that he could win. In his eagerness, he lost his sense of proportion in command and just blindly commanded Turtle to use the impact. However, Turtle of Kaizhang fully demonstrated its agility that did not belong to turtles. It moved like the wind and was more rabbit-like than a rabbit. None of Xiaozi's turtle's attacks hit, but he accidentally bumped into a tree, knocking Turtle dizzy. Xiaozi, calm down. Zhou couldn't help but yelled. The outcome of a game was not important, but Xiaozi's command was getting more and more out of control. Although Xiaozi's style was passionate, passion did not mean that he could lose his mind and have no brains. Zhou's yelling made Xiaozi regain his mind. Thinking back to the days when he was beaten by Zhou, he finally regained his composure. Are you going to fight calmly? It's a pity that there is no chance now. Turtle, use parasitic seed. The vegetable seed on the opposite side smiled. The turtle of the vegetable seed immediately squeezed out a small seed from the top of its head and shot it on Xiaozi's turtle. The branches and leaves spread and quickly absorbed Xiaozi's turtle's physical strength. No, Turtle, come on, don't give up. We can't lose here. We still have to win. Metal Monster, Parasaurolophus and others are there. We can't lose. Xiaozi looked at the turtle, whose physical strength was rapidly draining, and showed a painful expression, and cheered loudly. Break free. Impossible. Although your tortoise is very powerful, it is still too difficult to break free from the parasitic seeds of my tortoise. Kaizhang said confidently. This was her confidence as a gym trainer in Bayday City. No, I believe in my tortoise. It can do it. Xiaozi shouted, his eyes focused and passionate, full of trust in Pokémon. Tortoise seemed to sense Xiaozi's trust, and his eyes were full of determination. With a sudden move, it actually broke through the shackles of the parasitic seeds. Rejuvenation roar, reappearing in the arena. Zhou showed a rather playful smile on his face. It actually broke through. Kaizhang looked at Xiaozi's tortoise in disbelief, and his eyes also revealed a burst of blood. Tortoise, use Leaf Storm. The green energy leaves around the body of Kaizhang's tortoise condensed and immediately formed a green leaf storm, killing Xiaozi's tortoise. Tortoise, dodge, and then use Leaf Blade. Xiaozi said. Xiaozi's turtle immediately ran very fast, and at the same time, leaves like sharp blades on its body kept flying out and attacked the turtle. Turtle, dodge. Turtle said. Turtle burst out with amazing speed again, calmly dodged Xiaozi's attack, and then launched a counterattack. Impact. Turtle said. Turtle hit Xiaozi's turtle hard and knocked Xiaozi to the ground. Although Xiaozi wanted to fight, he was hit by the parasitic seeds of turtle before and lost a lot of physical strength. Although he wanted to fight, he was not strong enough and could only fall down. Turtle, thank you for your hard work. Come back. Xiaozi took back Turtle and said. Xiaozi, your strength is very good. What Pokémon are you going to use next? Turtle continued to make battle requests. Your Squirtle is very fast, but I don't believe it can be faster than Mukau. Next is Mukau. Xiaozi was about to throw Mukau's Pokéball, but Zhou reached out and stopped him, saying, well, we still have to find the terrible sweetness, so let's stop fighting here for now. Anyway, we'll fight again in Emi City. Otherwise, even if you win now, you won't get the gym badge. You get a gym badge for winning? Miss Nazane, you are a gym trainer? Xiaozi looked at Nazane in surprise. Oh, I've been exposed. Then let's be straightforward. I'm Nazane, the gym trainer in Emi City. Nazane smiled after her identity was exposed, and then said to Zhou, but I don't know you. How did you recognize me? Because, when I came to fulfill my mission, I went to the official website of the Alliance and downloaded a list of gym trainers in the Sinnoh region, their photos, and their proficiency in using Pokémon. Zhou said. So that's how it is. Nathan said suddenly, just looking at Zhou, and suddenly his eyes lit up and said, I recognized you too. You are the former champion of Hone. Zhou. Huh. Miss Nathan still recognize me? Zhou was surprised. Hyota knew him because of Dago, but Nathan didn't go to Hone, so it was really unexpected that she could remember him. Don't think that the Champion King is really known to everyone. At most, he can only be well known in the local area. Just like the stars in the previous life, there are thousands of fans. There are many people who know him in China, but how many people know him when he goes abroad? Especially Zahu is still a former champion. The only glory was half a year ago. He is an out-of-date star. Now he can still be recognized in other places. It's really a bit flattering. I met Miss Serona before. She said that among all the regional champions, only you are ahead of her. Nathan said. She is exaggerating. Zahu smiled. Chapter 420 Underground Exploration. Mr. Zahu must be very capable to be praised by Miss Sharona. But Mr. Zahu, why did you come to Sinop? Nazhang asked curiously. Because being a champion is boring, so I came to Sinop to start over and travel again. Zahu said. Then after Mr. Zahu challenges the tournament and becomes the champion, won't he participate in the Champions League and challenge Miss Sharona again? That will definitely be a wonderful fight. I'll go and see it then. Nazhang said excitedly. Sharona is the champion of Sinop, so she must be very strong. Compared with Mr. Watari and Mr. Dago, who is stronger? Zyos he asked curiously. They are on paragraph. Their Dragonite, Metagross, and Garchomp are all well-deserved champions. It's just that Dago has found the Mega Evolution Stone and dug up the Z Pure Crystal, so he may be stronger. It's just a possibility. After all, no one knows how strong they are without really taking action. Zahu said. Even my brother doesn't know. Zyos he said in surprise. Of course, do you think I'm a god? Which champion doesn't have one or two trump cards? Who knows until the real battle? Especially our Kanto 4 Heavenly Kings. Each of them has at least one trump card hidden. They are all old. Ahem. Kona deliberately coughed a few times to indicate his presence and looked at Zahu meaningfully. What do you want to say? Continue. They are all hidden masters. The champions of each region are extraordinary, but I can say with certainty that our Kanto 4 Heavenly Kings are all the strongest. So Zyossi, if you want to challenge the Champions League, you really have to be careful. Zahu said. Yeah. Zyossi said firmly. Okay, let's leave it at that for now. We still have to look for Terrible Sweetness. See you, Miss Nazhang. Zahu said. Wait a minute, did you say you were looking for Terrible Sweetness? Nazhang said. Yes, Miss Yami is looking for Terrible Sweetness, and I'm also interested in Amber City. Zahu said. I see, then let's get straight to the point. I might know something about the Amber City. Kazang said, the Terrible Sweetness is actually the honey of the 3 bees. I often come to this forest to capture grass type Pokémon, so I know something. There is a place in Bayday Forest that is full of red pomegranate flowers and often has sweetheart walls. The sweetheart wall is formed when the 3 bees fly in formation when collecting honey. Zahu said thoughtfully. Yes, although I have seen many sweetheart walls, this is the first time I have seen such a big sweetheart wall. So it should be right to search in that direction. Kazang said. So that's the case. It's not wrong. Zahu nodded, approving of Kazang's idea. In this way, the possibility of success will indeed be greatly increased. Grandpa said that good luck will happen when you see a good Pokémon battle. It is indeed the case. Yami heard the conversation between Zahu and Kazang and said happily. Kazang took the initiative to lead the way in front. After walking a long way, he led Zahu and others to a place full of red pomegranate flowers. Look, it's here. Kazang pointed to the red pomegranate flowers all over the ground. The gentleman moth in the sky fluttered its wings, indicating that it also smelled something very sweet. Then, from a red pomegranate flower, or 3B made up of 3 hexagons suddenly flew out and flew towards the distance. It's true. Now that we have found the 3B, it should be much easier to find the Amber City next. Kazang said excitedly, and he was also very interested in exploring the legendary Amber City. However, Kazang's interest did not last long, and Zylaksha screamed, insects. Zylaksha trembled, and the whole person seemed to lose color. Zahu looked at Zylaksha, thinking only of the good of 3 honeybees, and forgot that Zylaksha was a highly insectophobic patient. She was afraid of the appearance of insects, and it was the kind of fear that she could not control at all. Originally, Zahu thought that Zyraksha could suppress her fear of 3Bs. After all, 3Bs really didn't look like bees at all, they were just 3 hexagons. However, since Zyraksha was so scared, Zahu couldn't just ignore her. After thinking for a while, he said to Zyraksha, if Zyraksha is scared, Zyraksha, you should stay with her. Ah, why do you want me to stay? Zyraksha said. He also wanted to see the legendary Amber City. Besides you, who else do you want to stay? Zahu said. Zyraksha looked at the others. Yami looked up at the sky. I want to complete my grandfather's legacy. Zyanagang looked at Yami. I want to follow Miss Yami's footsteps. Zyanagang looked down at Pokemon. I also want to see the Amber City. Not to mention Kajero and Meowth. Who is Zyraksha? Do we know each other? Konozahu. Zyraksha didn't dare to ask. Pika Pikachu called cutely, urging him repeatedly, and even abandoned his trainer. No, Zyraksha looked desperate. Don't feel wronged, it's you, there's no one else. Zahu said. Okay, let's go. Kazhan clapped his hands, looking at the gentleman moth flying in the sky, smiling happily. Just when interest was just rising, a long-nosed leaf like an assassin suddenly jumped out of the jungle, jumped in front of Kazhan with a respectful look, raised a scroll with both hands, as if handing over a tribute. Kazhan took the scroll and quickly browsed through it. Zyraksha and the others were curious, and Kazhan explained, this is my contact. He told me that there is something going on at home now, and I have to go back to Bayday City. See you later. Okay, thank you for your help. Yami said gratefully. No, just consider it as compensation for my duel interrupting your treasure hunt. Kazhan waved his hand freely and ran towards Bayday City by himself. She is really a girl like the wind, appearing like a storm and disappearing like a storm. Zyanagang sighed. Stop sighing, the 3Bs are flying far away, and Gentleman Moth may not be able to smell the smell later. Let's follow them. Zahu said. Oh. Zyanagang quickly reacted, happily left Zyraksha and Zyraksha, followed the pace of Gentleman Moth, and ran over. Zahu and his group ran quickly, following the path of the Gentleman Moth. Fortunately, although the 3Bs can fly, their flying speed is not fast, and they can't get rid of the Gentleman Moth, so Zahu and his group can keep up. After running for a while with the 3Bs, Zahu and his group came to a huge waterfall. The water splashed, and the cliffs on both sides of the canyon grew all kinds of beautiful flowers and short trees. The sun shone, and a layer of thick and beautiful mist rose under the waterfall, forming a beautiful scenery with both sides, like a paradise. Many small Pokémon played happily here, and there were more 3Bs combined to form a wall of sweethearts. The 3Bs stopped here. The Amber City should be near here, but how can we find it? Yami looked around anxiously. The Gentleman Moth flapped its wings hard at this time to attract the attention of the trainer, and then flew to the side of the waterfall and tried to show that it wanted to go in. Pikachu's nose twitched, as if he also smelled something strange. He jumped onto a rock in front of the waterfall, pointed his finger at the waterfall and shouted, "The fragrance comes from behind the waterfall?" Zahu's mouth curled up slightly. According to this routine, there must be nothing behind the waterfall. I just don't know if there will be a paradise of Huago Mountain inside. Zahu was the first to walk forward with one hand through the waterfall. Sure enough, it was extremely smooth without any obstacles. Zahu stepped into it. Seeing this, Kona and others hurriedly followed and stepped into the cave one after another. Zahu looked around and felt a little strange. The sunlight outside was shining through the waterfall. In theory, there should be some obstruction, so the sight is good near the waterfall, and it will be pitch black inside. But when he looked over, he found that, although it was dark, he could still vaguely see the road. He was secretly curious in his heart. Could it be that there was also a light source inside? Zahu was curious, but the sudden cry of the Gentleman Moth woke him up. As soon as they entered the cave, the Gentleman Moth was very excited and kept rolling up and down, urging Yami and the others to move forward quickly. It will definitely be right this time. Let's go in quickly. Yami was shocked and hurriedly followed the Gentleman Moth. Zahu and others had to follow them. The cave has a complex terrain. The deeper you go, the more forks there are, and the road becomes more and more rugged and difficult to walk. Especially here, the vision is dim. There are no reference points, only rocks. Zahu and others don't know how far they have walked, let alone what route they have taken. If it weren't for the gentleman moth's keen sense of smell that can track the sweet fragrance in the cave, Zahu and his group would have lost their way long ago. After walking for a long time, some light finally appeared in front of them. Zahu and his group quickly approached and found a huge depression, like an inverted mountain peak, bottomless, with the surrounding rock walls spiraling down, and there are many caves in the rock walls. It is worth mentioning that the rock wall is full of crystals flashing blue fluorescence. In the dark cave, the light emitted by these blue crystals is extremely beautiful and dazzling, making the whole cave look like a mysterious underground palace. It's so beautiful, Xiaoguang exclaimed. Yes, I don't know whether it is the work of nature or the achievement of the 3 Bs. In short, it is an amazing masterpiece. Kona said. It is beautiful, but to walk safely, you need to be more focused, especially from this design. The Amber City should be underground, which may be more dangerous, so be careful. Zahu reminded. Everyone answered yes, and followed the gentleman moth carefully to walk down. Although Zahu had reminded them, after they really walked, they found it was still very difficult. Every step was nervous, letting everyone know that being an adventurer is not so easy. After walking along the winding road for about 10 minutes, the gentleman moth was in front of a wall. Did you take the wrong road? Is it a dead end? Yami said with a distressed look. Dead end? Am I seeing things? Why do I feel like this wall is moving? Xiaogang asked. A moving wall. Zhihui's expression changed slightly. He took out a flashlight, emitting a strong light, and observed the wall in front of him. What he saw shocked Zhihui. This wall was the Sweetheart Wall. The wall was originally moving, and when it was illuminated by Zhihui's strong light, it emitted a large area of red light. The countless 3 Bs that made up the Sweetheart Wall showed fierce eyes. Then, countless 3 Bs revived, and a strange light in their eyes shot towards Zhihui and others. Illusion light. Kona's face changed, and he quickly threw out the Pokeball. The phantom appeared in a dreamy and psychedelic way. The pink and petite body danced in the air, and the powerful superpowers surged out of the body, bearing all the superpowers of the 3 Bs, and rebounding them back. In an instant, the originally huge Sweetheart Wall collapsed, and then the dazzling light shone directly in. Chapter 421 Amber City. Is this the Amber City? Zahu and his group looked at the scene behind the Sweetheart Wall in shock. A dazzling and gentle golden light flickered. In the vast empty space, a magnificent and dreamy pagoda-shaped building, several stories high, stood tall, supported by several golden pillars of varying thicknesses connected to the cave walls. There was almost no support underneath, which made it even more extraordinary and sacred. Zahu and Kona were both well informed and had seen countless scenic spots in the world, but they found that no matter where the buildings were, they were not as shocking as the Amber City. I don't know whether to admire the great wisdom of Pokémon or the ingenuity of nature. The ability of bees to build nests is always amazing, and the 3 Bs have brought this thing to the fullest. From the pagoda-shaped building to Zahu, there is only a golden passage 3 or 4 meters wide. Zahu and others couldn't help but walk in by themselves. When they arrived at the interior of the Amber City, they saw an even more shocking and spectacular scene. It was a kind of beauty that was difficult to describe in words. The golden color and sweet fragrance everywhere made him feel as if he had come to a fairyland. In several pools that looked like jade platforms, golden honey was flowing. That was the goal of Yami's trip, the terrible sweetness. The fragrance almost made the gentleman moth unable to control himself. If it weren't for the group of 3 bees staring at him, and the queen bee sitting on a golden throne that looked like a bee pupa in the middle. Sure enough, just as I guessed, the Amber City is the hive of the queen bee and the 3 bees. But this hive is really full of incredible things. Zahu said. The Amber City was formed by the hardening of the honey collected by the 3 bees, but it would take unimaginable time to form such a large city. But, whether it is the investigation you want, or the terrible sweetness that Yami wants, it is not so easy to succeed. The queen bee does not welcome us visitors. Kona said. That's right, queen bee. Zahu looked at the queen bee in the center of the Amber City. As the ruler of a tribe, the strength of this queen bee is definitely not low. As the ruler of wild Pokémon, they are naturally repulsive to outsiders. It is already very good that they have not taken action immediately. Just when Zahu was still wondering what to say, Miss Yami bravely walked towards the Queen Bee and said sincerely, "Queen Bee, please forgive our reckless visit. My grandfather has gambled his whole life to find you and confirm this place, but the purpose is by no means to rob or monopolize your sweet honey. The mission of the Pokémon treasure hunter adventurer is only to discover the incredible and mysterious things in the Pokémon world to humans. Now my grandfather's dream can finally come true. So I think, as a witness, can you give me a little bit of honey? Just a little bit is really important. Can you please give me a little sweet honey?" Grandpa once said that, even if you only get a small piece of your dream, it is enough to make people feel happy. As she walked, Yami took out a small container that had been prepared long ago from the bag behind her and said earnestly with both hands, "I beg you, just a little bit will be enough. The ultimate secret, sincere persuasion," Zahu said with a little expectation. For most Pokémon, sincere persuasion is a universal trick. Pokémon have magical intuition and can judge the hearts of humans. Similarly, Pokémon will give gifts to those who are sincere and not greedy. The Queen Bee in the central bee pupa heard Yami's words, and there was no expression on her face, or it was difficult for humans to understand her expression. She just looked at Menghua next to Zahu, her eyes changed, and she spoke a few words. Menghua was shocked and huddled tightly in Kona's arms. Meow Meow and Zahu's expressions also became rich. What did the Queen Bee say? Kona looked at Zahu and Meow Meow curiously. Only the two of them could understand the Queen Bee's words and translate them. It said that, if you want terrible sweetness, you have to keep Menghua and make her the Queen Bee's husband. Meow. It's so scary. Meow Meow said with a scared face. What? Husband? Yami and her group were shocked. It was really rare to see a bee let Menghua be its husband. Is there really a Pokémon stealing a husband? Brother Zahu, is Mew a man? Xiaoguang asked in surprise. No, Mew has no gender. Zahu said. His Phantom Mew was originally just data, and data naturally has no gender. Later, the data turned into a real Pokémon, which was created by Zahu using one of Mew's eyelashes as raw materials and automatically copied by Mew's machine. Gender was not considered at all. So whether Mew is a man or a woman, even Zahu, who knows the most about Phantom Mew, does not know. Then the Queen Bee is still fighting? Xiaoguang said. How do I know your question? But Mew can be male or female. Zahu said he used Mew's eyelashes to create and copy the body of Phantom Mew, so although it is called Phantom Mew, in fact, it is no different from the real Mew. The strength has also reached the peak of the king. Although it is not as good as the one Zahu met, it is already strong compared to ordinary Mew. And Phantom Mew can also transform freely, reorganize genes, and become any Pokémon, including mythical beasts. And even the race can be changed. What does gender count for? Can it be a man or a woman? Xiaogang said in shock. It was terrifying. But boss, what should we do next? The Queen Bee seems to want to rob us. Xiaojero said with a scared face. Zahu looked over and found that the three bees, who were already unfriendly, looked even more fierce, and more 3 bees flew over here. Suddenly, the number of 3 bees increased from dozens to thousands. They were so dense that they covered the sky. If there were people with intensive phobia among the people who came, they would probably be paralyzed here. Boss, what should we do? Xiaojero said in panic. Yes, boss, help me. Meow grabbed Zahu's trouser legs with a cowardly face. You too, can you be a little more promising? Zahu glared at the two guys unhappily and then said to Menghua, hold on. Menghua stepped forward and protected Zahu and his group. A light green protective shield formed on his body, blocking hundreds of 3 bees from outside. Finally, we are more than half safe, Xiaojero said with a lucky look. But there are so many bees. If we don't solve the problem, we still can't get out. Xiaoguang held Pokémon and looked at Zahu with hope, hoping that the team leader would make a wise decision and successfully rescue them. Okay, then watch the gorgeous show of Jigsaw next. Zahu threw the Pokéball, and the chubby Jigsaw appeared in the open space with joy. Jigsaw. Savior. Sing. Kajiro and his group said excitedly. Barley? Jigsaw looked at Kajiro and his group in astonishment. Every time this group of people heard their own singing, they were so scared that they immediately covered their ears. Why are they so happy today? Are their brains broken? Jigsaw, just sing, Zahu said. Although Jigsaw was dazed, he used his singing trick without thinking when he heard Zahu's order. Bow, 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 bow. The singing was melodious and penetrating, running through the caves that stretched in all directions. A strong sense of sleepiness swept over everyone. First, large groups of bees fell down in groups, fell to the ground, and fell asleep. Soon after, Yami and the others followed suit and fell asleep. A few minutes later, in the huge cave, Zahu was the only one standing still, listening to Jigglypuff's singing. Chapter 422, Tortoises Don't Need Speed. Barley, seeing that everyone was unconscious, Jigglypuff showed an angry expression as usual. However, with Zahu's comfort, he soon turned from anger to joy, especially after drinking a small sip of honey from the Amber City. He was so happy that he didn't know what to do. Zahu smiled and tapped Jigglypuff's forehead and said, "You little greedy ghost. In the research institute, in order to grab milk to drink, every time you drank the big milk can of fresh milk, you would sing by yourself, knock everyone unconscious, and monopolize the fresh milk. Now that you see honey, you still rush to drink it." Barley, Jigglypuff cried out aggrievedly. "Okay, anyway, you can't go back to the research institute for the time being. Now stay with me, eat and drink well," Zahu said. "It's a skill to scare Professor Oak." Barley, Jigglypuff raised his little face proudly and looked at Zahu. "You are so proud. Forget it. You will have a share of the queen bee's honey anyway." Zahu shook his head and smiled. He took out several specially treated bottles and jars from his backpack and put the honey from the Amber City into them. After filling several bottles and jars, Zahu stopped with satisfaction. Although his main purpose of coming here was not for the terrible sweetness, it would be unreasonable not to take some away when he encountered it. After all, it only happens once in a lifetime, and it will probably never come again. Even if he doesn't give it to Jigglypuff, it will be a souvenir for himself. Thinking of this, Zahu took out a camera from his backpack, took pictures of the beautiful scenery of the Amber City, and took a photo of himself and the Amber City. Only then did he put the camera away with satisfaction. After doing all this, Zahu took out a photo of Menghuan from his pocket. This photo was taken by Zahu for Menghuan when it just had a real body. He took more than 20 photos in a row as a souvenir. When he went out to pack up, he accidentally brought an extra photo with him. He didn't expect it to come in handy at this time. He held the photo between his two fingers and threw it casually, and the photo flew to the queen bee's head. "Although I don't know what kind of distortion has happened to your aesthetic taste as a bee, you like Mew, a Pokémon whose body is completely disproportionate to you. But no matter what, I stole your honey, so I'll give you this photo as a deal. If you can't see Mew in the future, you can look at it more often by yourself and miss it when you see it." After throwing the photo, Zahu looked at the unconscious group of people, threw the Pokéball, and released Mew again. When he decided to use Jigglypuff to hypnotize the massacre, Zahu had already thought about how to deal with it afterwards. It was nothing but a fantasy to want to get these people out by yourself, but with the help of Pokémon, it was just a pipe dream, especially when Mew can teleport. Therefore, when Jigglypuff was singing, Zahu deliberately put Mew into the Pokéball to prevent Mew from being hypnotized. Here, I have to say that the Pokéball is really a dark design. If you put it in the Pokéball, everything will be okay. Meow Menghuan looked at the bee corpses all over the ground and felt panic in her heart. Her long tail swayed in the air and strange superpowers surged. Zahu and his group were enveloped in a burst of light and suddenly disappeared in the Amber City and came to where Zyelzy and Zylaksha were staying. "Brother, are you back from the adventure? Did you find the Amber City?" Seeing Zahu and his group suddenly appear, Zyelzy asked curiously. "Of course we found it, otherwise how could these people faint?" Zahu said. "It's Jigglypuff's credit again, cute Jigglypuff." Zylaksha praised Jigglypuff. She fell in love with Jigglypuff at first sight and wanted to subdue Jigglypuff, but she didn't have Zahu's innate skill of being immune to coma, so she didn't subdue him. Barley Jigglypuff looked proud. Zahu glared at him unhappily and then handed the camera to Zyelzy and Zylaksha. "These are the photos I took in the Amber City, you can take a look." So beautiful. This is the legendary Amber City. It's really beautiful. Zyloksha exclaimed. Girls always have extraordinary pursuits for beautiful things. It's because of you, Zyloksha, that we can't go to the Amber City and see the real Amber City instead of just looking at a photo. Zyloksha complained in a low voice. I'm just afraid of insects. Zyloksha said with a guilty conscience. So it's fate, but there are many beautiful scenery in this world. You can always see them in the future if you want to. It's just that Zyloksha, you really need to overcome this shortcoming. Zahu said. I'll try. Zyloksha's self-confidence is not enough, and overcoming the fear of insects is really something that some concubines can't do. Zahu knew Zyloksha's problem and didn't say much. This kind of fear is almost instinctive, and there is no way to say more, so he can only think about it later to see if there is any other way. Next, Zahu waited for Kona and the others to wake up, but saw that the turtle was running fast not far away. Is the turtle practicing speed now? Zahu frowned. Yes, Miss Nazhang's turtle is fast and has strong explosive power. That's why my turtle lost the game. So I want to increase the speed of the turtle and make it faster than Miss Nazhang's turtle. Zyloksha said. Then how much money are you going to spend to buy the stone from me? Zahu said. What do you buy the stone for? Zyloksha asked puzzled. If you don't buy the stone, you will let the turtle evolve, and all your speed training will be in vain. Zahu's expression was cold. Have you seen the final evolution of the turtle? The turtle, Shinji has one. Zyloksha said. Yes. Then do you think Shinji's turtle can run? Zahu said. It's okay if it doesn't evolve, but once it evolves, the turtle will carry such a heavy shell. How can it run? It seems impossible. Zyloksha said. It's not like it just can't. So, unless you plan to make Stottle like Bulbasaur, I won't evolve. I'm proud. Otherwise the rapid training you've been doing during this period is completely the wrong way, wasting the foundation of the evolution stage, and it's easy to cause Stottle to not adapt to the new body after evolution, which will affect the Pokémon itself. Zahu said. Then how should I train Stottle? Zyloksha said. Learn from Shinji, make full use of its tortoise's defense, and make it as still as a mountain and as fast as thunder. However, you can also consider talking to Stottle and let it not evolve. You really don't need tortoise. Or find a suitable trainer, and entrust Stottle to it. Zahu said. Why? Zyloksha said aggrievedly. Who would be willing to give away his own Pokémon? Because you are good at using assassin and warrior Pokémon with high speed attacks. You can use a series of strong attacks to make the opponent reveal a flaw, and then defeat them with a flash of inspiration. There is Pokémon where there is you, and there is Pokémon where there is you. The strong bond between you is the basis of your strength. It is even so strong that it can turn agile Pokémon into meat shields, locking their health and making them immortal. But you don't know how to use a meat tank with thick health and no speed. Zahu said directly. They are all family members, so there is no need to beat around the bush. Pokémon in Zyloksha's hands can basically become stronger and move forward together with the bond, but there are always a few that are not well trained, and Tortoise is recognized as a useless one. Zyloksha has a lot of the 3 starters, at least one in each region. In Kanto, Johto, and Unova, he is so crazy that he wants all 3, but not many have evolved to their final form. There are only 5, Charizard, Lizard King, Infernape, Tortoise, and Greninja. Among these 5, Tortoise is recognized as the most useless. It is not inferior to the other 4 in strength, but at least 1 level lower. From the nickname, it can be seen that the others are the old spray and the big brother, and Tortoise is the cannon fodder turtle. Before evolution, it still had some records, which was not much different from the previous Bulbasaur. But after evolution, the winning rate dropped sharply, and the more it evolved, the lower the winning rate. After evolving into Tortoise, Zahu didn't remember it winning. Especially the ultimate move rock climbing, it will definitely lose after using this move. Chapter 423 A Life You Can't Envy. After listening to Zahu's words, Zyloksha fell into deep thought and stood aside silently. Zahu knew that he needed to think for himself, so he didn't disturb him. After a while, a group of people in Kona gradually woke up, and they were relieved to see that there were no dense 3Bs. Even Yami looked a little disappointed. She didn't expect that. Even if she found the legendary Amber City, she still didn't get the terrible sweetness and couldn't prove its existence to others. Miss Yami, this is for you. Zahu saw that Yami was disappointed, smiled slightly, and handed her a bottle of terrible sweetness. Terrible sweetness, Mr. Zahu, you actually got it? Yami looked at the terrible sweetness in Zahu's hand with surprise, happy like a child. Puffy hypnotized all of them, so I naturally took some away. Zahu smiled indifferently. Anyway, thank you Mr. Zahu, I can finally fulfill my grandfather's last wish. Yami was sincerely grateful. If it weren't for Zahu already having a girlfriend, she might have promised to marry him. After chatting for a while, Yami and Zahu and the others separated. After all, they were only temporarily gathered together because of the terrible sweetness. We have seen the Amber City. Next, Jimmy, you take this bottle of terrible sweetness back to Pallet Town and give the things to my teacher, Professor Oak. Zahu said. I know. Jimmy nodded. Also, by the way, pass on a message for me. The Amber City is the hive of the queen bees. Just know it, and don't disturb it. Zahu said. Understood, I will bring it. Jimmy nodded solemnly, then packed up his bag and walked away. Okay, next is to challenge the gym in Bayday City. It's a pity that the Diamond Soul has been borrowed by Sharona, otherwise I can let you see it. Zahu said. Diamond Soul? What is that? Zyozzy asked curiously. Zyozzy, I asked you to read a book, did you read it? Zahu said unhappily. I did, but there were too many books to read, so I didn't read it. Zyozzy defended weakly. Okay, let me briefly talk about the legend and history here. The world was originally in chaos, and the Tao gave birth to 1, 1 gave birth to 2, 2 gave birth to 3, and 3 gave birth to all things. The 1 here refers to Arceus, whose situation is still unknown. He is considered to be the god of creation. The 2 are Dialga and Palkia, who were created by Arceus. They are the gods of space and time respectively. The 2 gave birth to 3, which refers to the 3 sacred mushrooms and the 3 lakes created from Dialga and Palkia. Zahu said. What does that have to do with the Diamond Soul? Zyozzy said. Isn't that what I was going to say? The Diamond Soul is a prop related to Dialga. Once obtained, it can greatly enhance Dialga's ability and contains magical power. It was dug out by the Sinnoh people in the ruins and had been placed in the museum in Bayday City before, but because Sharona borrowed it from it to improve her strength before, it is still unknown what has been studied now. Maybe there is really an eternal evolution of Garchomp. Zahu said. Brother Zahu, I have always had a question. Why are you so keen on eternal evolution? Can't you achieve short-term Mega Evolution with Evolution Keystone and Mega Evolution Stone? Even if it is an eternal Mega Evolution, the power will not increase too much. Zyraksha said curiously. Yes, from a short-term perspective, there is not much difference between short-term evolution using Evolution Stone and eternal Mega Evolution. But in fact, there are at least 3 differences. Zahu said. First, it reduces the burden on trainers. For Pokémon to achieve Mega Evolution, they need to communicate with the trainer, and then use the bond, Mega Evolution Stone, and Evolution Keystone to complete the evolution. However, the number of Mega Evolutions that can be completed is limited, and the willpower required determines that the number of Pokémon that a trainer can evolve is limited. 1 is the best effect, 2 is more than enough, 3 will exceed the limit and the trainer will faint. If there is eternal Mega Evolution, the mental burden of the trainer can be reduced. Zyraksha said suddenly. Yes, but this is not the most important thing, because the investment in making a Pokémon achieve eternal evolution is much greater than finding a few more Mega Evolution Stones and Evolution Keystones. Moreover, the high-level genetic energy extracted by eternal evolution is also limited, and it is not a long-term solution, and it is even worse than the Mega Evolution Stone. The main thing is the second and third points. Zahu smiled. The second point is the one that takes effect quickly. Although Mega Evolution is a short-term evolution, it is also evolution, and the huge difference brought to Pokémon after evolution, you all know it without me saying it. If you only Mega Evolve in battle, you can't fully and deeply understand the Pokémon's body after Mega Evolution, so the combat performance will be affected to a certain extent. Especially the body before and after evolution is different, and the training also needs to be different. If it is not eternal evolution, it cannot be deeply explored. A Pokémon that is eternally mega evolved, and a Pokémon that can only be briefly mega evolved in battle. It is difficult to tell who is stronger in a short period of time, but over time, the eternal mega evolved will definitely be stronger, Zahu said. What about the third point? Zyanagang was also angry. That involves the long-term reproduction problem. If Pokémon are fixed to eternal super evolution, then the eternal super evolution gene may be inherited. If these eternal super evolution Pokémon reproduce with each other, their offspring may also be able to evolve directly. This is the key to why everyone is so enthusiastic, Zahu said. So the key to eternal super evolution is not now, but in the future. Science changes the world, Zyanagang said. That's right, science changes the world, and technology creates the future, Zahu said. Then I have to find a way to make my Lucario and Charizard eternal super evolution, Zyanosi thought. 10 years later, it's too early for you to consider this issue now. Zahu flicked Zyanossi's forehead unhappily. Oh, Zyanosi said aggrievedly. Okay, self-travel, self-challenge. Next is your trip. But, Zyanosi, remember to think about the matter of Squirtle carefully, and don't ruin Squirtle. If it doesn't work, Squirtle can also evolve, Zahu said. Under the setting sun, Zahu and Zyanosi and his group parted again. With you, a first-class expert in the field of eternal mega evolution, it's not surprising that Zyanosi wants to eternal mega evolution. Why do you want to discourage his enthusiasm? Kona said. Who are the people who are studying eternal mega evolution now? Dago and Sharona are more powerful than each other. Why does Zyanosi want to get involved? He should just challenge the gym competition seriously. Those things are too far away from him, Zahu said. But Zyanosi has a strong luck that ordinary people don't have. If he really lets him go, he might be faster than Dago and Sharona. Kona said. No, if Zyanosi wants to eternal mega evolution now, I can actually help him complete it now. He has a key in his hand, Zahu said. Ah. Kona opened her mouth slightly, her expression surprised. She was just optimistic and expectant, but she didn't expect Zyanosi to already have it now. Gene evolution, the power of the mythical beast. In terms of creating Pokémon, Ho-Oh is the leading expert, and Sucunente is the best proof. And Zyanosi actually has the original power of Ho-Oh in his body, and he is the man chosen by Ho-Oh, Zahu said. Ho-Oh is fire and flying, and Zyanosis Charizard is also fire and flying, and one of the super evolved forms of Charizard is still fire and flying. That's perfect. Kona suddenly realized, and couldn't help but marvel at Zyanosis' luck. This is really the son of heaven. But the fire and flying form is not suitable for Zyanosis Charizard. Zyanosis Charizard is just a flying attribute, and the inside is completely a fighting attribute. The fire and dragon form is more suitable for it, especially the dragon claw characteristics after evolution are better for it, Zahu said. Moreover, the power of Ho-Oh can give Zyanosi the power to revive from the dead. If he doesn't have this power, I'm really afraid that Zyanosi won't be able to come back one day, Zahu said again. The power to come back from the dead. People who are chosen by the King of Phoenix are sometimes really envious, Kona said. This is fate, you can't envy it. Zahu smiled. Chapter 424, Provocative Swimming Weasel. After parting with Zyanosi and his group, Zahu and his group continued to head towards Bayday City. On the way, they passed a stream and saw many people fishing. We are at the stream again, Watermaster. Why don't you show off your amazing fishing skills and capture a few Pokémon? Zahu teased Kona. 1 EV is enough. How can I have the extra energy to capture more Pokémon? Kona laughed. Then just relax, Zahu said. Kona nodded, took out a professional fishing rod from his backpack, and started fishing. Zahu also started fishing, not expecting to catch any rare Pokémon, just to kill time and relax himself. Kajiro followed suit and prepared to fish, but Zahu suddenly picked up the fishing rod and slapped his hand. Kajiro was in pain and complained, "Boss, what are you doing?" After Bayday City, there is a gorgeous competition in Yuanzi City, where the next gym is located. The gorgeous competition requires 2 Pokémon to perform doubles. Have you practiced well? Zahu put away the fishing rod and said calmly. Ah. A performance competition between two Pokémon? Kajiro was surprised and had no idea. Zahu rolled his eyes and said as if he knew it would be like this. Log on to the official website of the Pokémon Gorgeous competition and check it out. Don't be more amateur than me. Oh, then I will practice now. Kajiro was immediately excited when he heard about the Gorgeous competition. He released his own Pokémon and gave mobilization explanation. Meow Meow ignored Kajiro, who was preparing for a difficult training, and fooled his newly captured little sister Xiangli Meow. The two cats shook their tails and put their tails into the water to fish with their tails. Why, every time I see Meow Meow and Xiangli Meow together, I always have the feeling that a weird uncle is kidnapping underage girls. Zahu raised his eyebrows. Maybe you are a weird uncle in your heart. Kona laughed. When did I kidnap underage girls? If you want to talk about kidnapping, it was you who fooled me, an innocent and pure underage little milk dog. Zahu defended himself. He really didn't admit this crime. Innocent and pure? Can you have some shame? Who said you were afraid of the cold and insisted on getting into my bed? I was just deceived by your cute appearance at the beginning. Kona said. Nonsense. That night, it was clearly you who used me as a pillow. Zahu said. Then who rubbed against my arms? Kona said. It's because of your fragrance. Zahu said righteously. Kona opened her red lips slightly and was speechless to Zahu's words. Ouch. Who bit me? Just as Zahu and Kona were flirting, Meow Meow suddenly screamed and jumped up with a swimmer weasel on his tail. Meow Meow jumped out and the swimmer weasel also let go of his mouth and looked at Meow Meow, Zahu and the others with a provocative look. Meow Meow's tail is awesome. The two of us have been fishing for a long time, but we haven't caught it yet, but he has succeeded now. Zahu exclaimed. You seem to be exclaiming in the wrong way. You should say, what's the situation with this swimmer weasel? Kona said. Oh, when we walked over just now, didn't we hear someone say that there is a wild swimmer weasel here who likes to eat the trainer's bait to challenge the trainer? It should be this one. Zahu said. Then, you go ahead and stand up for Meow Meow. Kona said. Okay. Zahu agreed readily. Of course, he should stand up for his own little brother. Just as he stood up, he saw Xiangli Meow hitting the swimming gas weasel with his tail, one after another, and slapped the swimming gas weasel on the face several times, making the swimming gas weasel retreat again and again. Continuous slaps. Zahu quickly applauded on the side. What a good skill. And it's for Meow Meow. Meow Meow has really found true love. Kajiro came out of training and exclaimed. The ability to protect your husband is bursting. Zahu exclaimed. Meow Meow, go ahead, scratch like crazy. Yes, scratch like crazy. Meow Meow's eyes lit up, running fast, scratching like crazy, husband and wife double fighting. The swimming gas weasel jumped calmly, nimbly jumped away from Meow Meow's crazy scratching, then jumped into the air, flicked its tail, and the sonic blade flew out, attacking Meow Meow and Xiangli Meow. Meow Meow and Xiangli Meow were frustrated and fell down at the same time. Sonic boom, and this trick, not bad. Zahu said. To the tail, Meow. Meow Meow saw that her only fangirl was beaten. She felt a burning rage in her heart. Her eyes flashed with white light. She stretched out 3 claws and slashed at the swimming weasel, shouting, crazy scratching. The swimming weasel had sharp eyes and waved his hands. Water surged on his body and turned into a water column, crashing towards Meow Meow. The sharp claws collided violently with the water column. After a loud bang, Meow Meow actually remained still, and the swimming weasel was slapped out by a claw. Oh my god. Meow Meow actually won. Kajiro looked at the scene in front of him. His eyes almost fell out of his head in surprise. The power of love is infinite. Zahu could only say this. It was embarrassing to say that. After conquering Meow Meow, this was Meow Meow's first real victory, except for fighting the caterpillar. True love. Kona rarely joined Zahu and Kajiro's discussion. This was also the first time she saw Meow Meow win. Not to mention Zahu and the other two. Even Meow Meow himself was surprised. He looked at his claws and cheered. This is my power, Meow Meow. Even if I only know one trick, which is crazy scratching, I'm still invincible. Meow Meow was in ecstasy. He turned around and looked at Xiangli Meow. Just as he was about to celebrate, a sharp stream of water sprayed from behind him. He was caught off guard and was hit directly. He fell to the ground and ate a handful of dirt. Meow Meow quickly stood up, spit out the dirt in his mouth, and glared at the swimming weasel fiercely. Despicable, shameless, sneak attack. The swimming weasel looked disdainful and said in Elvish, "The battle is not over, and you turned your back on me. You deserve it. Humph, shameless, just wait. I will teach you a lesson." Meow. Meow Meow threw a fierce word, then turned to Zahu and said, "Boss, someone hit me. Help me out." Zahu rolled his eyes. "You are just handsome for less than 3 seconds. Okay, take your little lover and retreat." Okay. Meow Meow stood aside happily and then looked at the swimming weasel with a kingly attitude, as if it was the one who had just won. Zahu turned his face away and was too embarrassed to look at Meow Meow's performance. He took out the treasure ball, released the metal monster and said, "Swimming weasel, let me play with you." The swimming weasel looked at Zahu and the metal monster with arrogance. "Metal monster, telekinesis," Zahu said. The metal monster's eyes glowed and strange power rolled out, controlling the swimming gas weasel. The swimming gas weasel showed a trace of panic on its face. It wanted to struggle, but it couldn't move. It was also the king of this area, but it had never fought with psychic Pokémon before. This was the first time. "Smash it," Zahu said. The metal monster moved its telekinesis and threw the swimming gas weasel to the ground, knocking it unconscious. The swimming gas weasel was in a mess, but still stood up firmly. Its eyes were fierce, and the water under its body surged, turning into a water column, rushing towards the metal monster. "Meteor punch," Zahu said. A layer of light flashed on the metal monster's body, and its fists were sharp. The whole body rotated rapidly and attacked the swimming gas weasel head-on. The two air currents collided, and the energy clashed. The two figures retreated at the same time. The swimming gas weasel fell to the ground, and the metal monster floated and retreated in the air. "Metal monster, speed up your body rotation, and give us another meteor punch," Zahu said. The metal monster quickly understood, and its entire body spun rapidly in the air, and then rushed towards the swimming gas weasel. The swimming gas weasel also used a jet of water to collide and attack the metal monster tit for tat. The metal monster and the swimming gas weasel collided in the air and were in a stalemate for a while. Then, the metal monster accelerated its rotation and increased its power, overpowering the swimming gas weasel's jet of water, and slammed the swimming gas weasel into the ground, leaving a small pit. "Knockout wins. Metal monster, come back," Zahu said. The metal monster floated back to Zahu leisurely. Although the swimming gas weasel was seriously injured, there was still pride in his eyes. He stood up with difficulty, glanced at Zahu and the metal monster, then jumped into the water and disappeared. "Hey, boss, you don't want to capture it?" Meow Meow asked curiously. "I have enough Pokémon in my hands now, and I don't have much energy to capture and train. Besides, there are masters who are more suitable for the swimming gas weasel than me," Zahu said. "This weasel should be the one in the animation that followed Dawn and then Ash. It can be called the second Lizard King, with an arrogant personality, aloof, and aggressive. Among Ash's early Pokémon, it was the top one, and was expected to become the leader of the Sinnoh region. Unfortunately, later on, with the addition of Blaze, the focus of the description shifted to Blaze. After all, Blaze is more tear-jerking and more interesting. Later, it became the eldest brother, and had the demeanor of the Monkey King. Therefore, there is not much description of Weasel in the later period. In addition, there is no evolution, and Muka evolves into Hairbird, Scorpio King goes out for further studies, Squirtle evolves into Tortoise, etc. It can only be said that it is not weak, but not strong. Chapter 425, Battle Between Treasures. This is Emi City, a big city with roast chicken, hamburgers, steaks, all very delicious. On the main road of Emi City, Meowth excitedly introduced the grandeur of the city to Meowth. Zahu had a weird smile on his face. Meowth really had a special preference for Meowth. However, in the animation, when it comes to hot air balloons and poor Pokémon, Meowth will become extremely righteous. Like Zioyao's Meowth, in the animation, Meowth had already grabbed it, but considering that, if it followed him, it would repeat the process of them flying into the sky, so he secretly let it go. In the subsequent plot, he acted as a psychological mentor to the little flame monkey, a mentor to the Alola Litten, and so on. And now, it follows me and lives a stable and healthy life. All the things I wanted to do, but couldn't do in the original trajectory can now be done. Okay, after you go to the gym with me and finish the game, you can popularize the differences between these cities with Meowth. You can also take it to visit the Emi History Museum. That is the representative attraction of Emi City. It is also because of the Emi History Museum that Emi City is called the city that connects the past and the present. Zahu said. Then go to the gym match quickly, boss, you finish it quickly, and then, we will go quickly. Meowth urged. Zahu sneered and walked towards the Emi gym. As one of the landmark buildings in Emi City, Zahu and others did not spend much time to find the Emi gym. The environment layout of the entire gym is close to nature, with a forest style as the main style, and various flowers and plants are planted. Walking into the gym is like entering an ecological park. It fully proves that the Emi gym is a grass type gym. When Meowth walks into the gym, it is like returning to the wild wilderness area. It runs to the grass and lies on it comfortably, showing a comfortable expression. It seems that Meowth likes it here very much. But this place is indeed close to nature and makes people feel very comfortable. Kona said. Indeed, it feels like a spring breeze, but unfortunately, Xiangwei Meow is our Meow Meow's darling, and he cannot be hurt at all. Otherwise Meow Meow will kill me. Otherwise, I want to command Xiangwei Meow. Zahu said. Yes, boss, don't hurt my Xiangwei Meow. Otherwise, Meow Meow said. What else? What do you say? Zahu paused and looked at Meow Meow with a smile. Otherwise, I will be the master's most loyal servant. Meow Meow hugged Zahu's thigh and said. Don't come on, call me boss when there is nothing to do. Call me master when there is something to do. I don't believe you. Zahu kicked Meow Meow away in a bad mood. At this time, the gym trainer Kazhan came out, and after seeing Zahu and others, he showed a happy expression and said, it turns out that Mr. Zahu is here to challenge. That's great. Today may be the most meaningful game I have since I became a gym trainer. I can't take it, but I will be very serious. Zahu said. Okay, the rules of the Emi gym are very simple. 3-on-3, similar to other gyms, but the grass type Pokémon here are very powerful. The strongest in the world. Kazang said confidently. Okay, I'll wait and see. ZHIHUI said. Okay, my first Pokémon, Sakura. Kazang threw the Pokéball, and a cute pink Pokémon jumped out. It had a round pink body, like a large cherry, no hands but short legs, and a large green leaf on its head was shaking, with a small pink fruit attached. Standing on the grass, Sakura was enjoying the strong sunshine with a happy smile on his face. Sunny weather, green grass, the right time and place, all in your hands. ZHIHUI smiled. Only on sunny days can plants grow healthily. Next, Dr. ZHIHUI's Pokémon will be yours. You attack first. Kazang said. Okay, heart scale, go down. ZHIHUI shrugged his shoulders, and heart scale immediately understood, and jumped down by himself. Huh? What kind of Pokémon is this? Kazang asked puzzled. Heart scale, a Pokémon from the Alola region, is not found in Sinnoh. So my Pokémon is unique. Zahu said. So that's how it is. Looking at the attributes, it seems to be a dragon attribute. Kazang said. Yes, dragon attribute. Zahu nodded in agreement, and then issued an order. Heart scale, self-motivation. Heart scale lay on the ground, let out a low roar, and an illusory sword emerged from its body, and its momentum became fierce. In the game, attacking first is good, and you can take the initiative, but it is not necessarily the case in reality. Many times, launching the first attack will reveal a flaw. Especially when heart scale is not strong enough, it is better to take the initiative, to use self-motivation to improve heart scale's combat power first. Give me the opportunity to attack first. Then I'm not polite. Sakura uses Sun Flame. Kazang said. The big leaves on Sakura's head shook, absorbing the sunlight in the sky. Sure enough, on sunny days, we have to use Sunshine Flame. Zahu smiled slightly. On sunny days, Sunshine Flame does not need to be charged. If a general rookie trainer cannot tell the situation and thinks that he has to wait for a while before using Sunshine Flame and then approaches actively, he may be directly defeated by Sunshine Flame. Heart Scale, approach slowly, Zahu said. Heart Scale used its limbs to move closer to Sakura, but it still retained some strength while running, ready to dodge at any time. Sakura, fire, Nazhang said. Zahu's reaction was within her expectations, but she was not afraid. On sunny days, Sunshine Flame was fired continuously. The light source above Sakura's head gathered, and the energy burst out, shooting straight at Heart Scale. Jump up, use Iron Head skill, Zahu shouted when the time was right. Heart Scale's face quickly turned serious, and it jumped to escape Sakura's Sunshine Flame, then jumped into the sky, turning into a white light, and smashed towards Sakura like a cannonball. Sakura, dodge, and then use Sunlight Blaze, Kazang shouted. Sakura's short legs burst out with amazing speed, moving quickly in the sunlight, easily dodging Heart Scale's fierce attack, and then the light on his head gathered, and shot towards Heart Scale again. Heart Scale's head just hit the air, and fell to the ground. It was difficult to move, and it was obvious that there was no place to hide. Hold it, Zahu said calmly. Heart Scale hurriedly lowered his head, and a light green light shone on his body, forming a solid shield all over his body. The fierce sunlight blaze shot over, but it only passed through the sides of Heart Scale, and it did not hurt Heart Scale at all. Heart Scale, you can actually hold on to this trick. I thought this sunlight blaze could solve it, Kazang said. Of course, you are far from being able to defeat me this way, but your Sakura Poke is really well cultivated. It has learned the grass type ultimate move, Sunshine Flame. In addition, its own characteristic is Chlorophyll, which doubles its speed on sunny days. Therefore, on sunny days, Pokémon of the same strength are no match, Zahu said. Yes, on sunny days, my Sakura Poke is very strong. Grass type Pokémon are the best, Kazang said excitedly. Sakura Poke, Sunshine Flame. In the sun, the large leaves on the top of Sakura Poke's head danced in the wind, revealing a joyful expression, and the light gathered again. Heart Scale Poke, Iron Head skill, quickly approach, Zahu shouted. Heart Scale Poke exerted force on its calves, and the heart-shaped scales on its head shone, and it rushed towards Sakura Poke at a high speed. It's incredible that it actually rushed over. Kazang smiled. Straightforward, launch the strongest Sunshine Flame. The light on the top of Sakura Poke's head burst out, and a dazzling golden beam of light burst out. Heart Scale Poke, jump up, lower your head, bite your tail, and roll vertically, Zahu shouted. Heart Scale's eyes lit up slightly, and he leaped up, then lowered his head, bit his tail, and spun his whole body rapidly. The momentum of the Iron Head technique, the speed of rotation, and gravity, made him hit Sakura at a speed far faster than before. Sakura was unable to dodge, and was knocked down by Heart Scale. Sakura, use the magic leaf quickly, Kazang shouted anxiously. Sakura barely pulled himself together, and the big leaf on his head swung, shining. Noise, Zahu said. Heart Scale opened his mouth wide, and a sharp and piercing noise came out of his mouth, like nails scratching frosted glass, making people feel sick and nauseous. Sakura and Heart Scale were very close. At this distance, the noise made by Heart Scale went straight into Sakura's ears. Sakura's body trembled, and the magic leaf was directly interrupted. Iron Head technique, Zahu said. Heart Scale raised his head high, and his head rubbed brightly, and violently hit Sakura. With a bang, Sakura's small body flew out, and hit the tree on the side, revealing a pair of big circular eyes. Yakurabeo has lost his ability to fight, the female referee standing aside announced. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.